Chapter 1614. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't use any other array, let alone the burning sky array. The reason was simple. Longao didn't want anyone to know that he had become a divine array master. The array was his last trump card, and also his last trump card against the three superforces. However, the situation was different now. The marvelous mathematician had been in seclusion for 3 years, and the continent was in turmoil. There was only one way to rise up in this chaotic world, and that was to create a world with one's fists. Was it possible to rely on strength alone? Although he had full confidence in his own strength, Longao still had self-awareness. Wanting to rely on himself to rise abruptly in this chaotic world seemed to be a bit of a fantasy story. It was not realistic. If his strength wasn't enough, he could only rely on the array. With the help of the powerful array, Longao wouldn't put anyone in his eyes as long as it wasn't a nirvana, reborn warrior. This was the terrifying part of the array. Rise up. Longao had decided to use the Luli sect, which was the current branch of the dragon sect, as the center, and quickly spread out. His first target was the enemy he had just provoked, the Azura Palace, branch of the dragon sect. In the main hall, following the death of the two elders, Luli seemed to be helpless, because the Luli sect that he had painstakingly built was now given to someone else. However, since he had made his choice, Luli wouldn't regret it. If he lost, he would just die. Once he won, he would become a hero of the dragon sect, which wasn't a bad thing. Master, according to the news I just received, the Azura Palace has no time to deal with us. What's the situation? Longao was very curious. He did not know what had happened. Master, the current Tianwu continent is in turmoil. Other than the 10 forces, 60% of the sects have joined the chaos. Among them, none of the second-rate forces have escaped. How could Longao not know about this? The Azura Palace has been keeping a low profile. According to my guess, the Azura Palace wants to be the oriole behind the mantis, stalking the cicada. When the time comes, they will watch the fire from the other side and reap the benefits. So what? Although the Azura Palace's wishful thinking is good, the other second-rated powers are not to be trifled with either. There are a few second-rated powers that don't like the Azura Palace and are itching to make trouble. Under such circumstances, how could the Azura Palace spare any time to deal with us? So that was the case. Would the Azura Palace really do this? No one knew what the outcome would be until the very end. Longao's intuition told him that this matter was not as simple as it seemed. Was it possible for the Azura Palace to let him and his sect go? Elder Luli, what do you think about this? Master, forgive me for being blunt, but with our current strength, we are no match for the Azura Palace. Rather than fighting them head-on, we might as well choose another location or retreat in order to advance. Luli's intention was clear. She did not want to confront the Azura Palace head-on. If it were any other time, Longao would definitely accept Luli's suggestion. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was clear for all to see. In addition, the three superpowers were also eyeing them covetously. Choosing to confront them head-on would only bring more harm than good. But now, the situation was completely different. The continent was in turmoil right now. If one wanted to rise in this chaotic world, passively taking a beating was the same as courting death. Only by taking the initiative would they have a chance to survive. Elder Luli, what if we take the initiative to attack? Take the initiative to attack? Hearing the master's words, Luli was shocked. She never thought that her master would make such a decision. Taking the initiative to attack would only lead to death. Could it be that her master's brain was flooded with water? Master, forgive me for being blunt, but if we choose to take the initiative to attack, I'm afraid. Although Luli did not finish her sentence, the meaning behind her words was very clear. If they chose to take the initiative to attack, they would only end up dead. I've made up my mind. Luli was very clear about her identity. Since she had chosen to submit, there was no Luli sect anymore. There was only the dragon sect's branch. If that was the case, Longao was the one with the highest authority. She sighed deeply in her heart. Luli thought for a while and finally chose to compromise. She asked, "Master, what should we do now?" She smiled. In the middle of the night, two figures suddenly shot out from the dragon sex branch. They were Longao and Lu Li. Their speed was very fast. In the blink of an eye, their figures turned into two black dots, quickly disappearing into the dark night. Azura Palace. Xingdan and Xingxing were extremely depressed. Both of them never thought that at this time, the surrounding second-rate forces would join hands to deal with the Azura Palace. Facing enemies from all sides, the Azura Palace was in a passive position. All of this was because of Longao and the Lu Li sect. Otherwise, the Azura Palace would not have exposed their strength and attracted the attention of the surrounding second-rate forces. As the saying goes, two fists cannot fight against four hands. No matter how strong the Azura Palace was, it was impossible for them to fight against 10 people at once. Palace Master, what should we do about the Lu Li sect and Longao? Now is not the time to deal with Longao and the Lu Li sect. It's just a small Longao and the Lu Li sect. If we want to destroy them, it will be a matter of minutes. The most important thing now is to deal with the surrounding sects as soon as possible. Otherwise, once we fall into a passive position, it will be very troublesome. Just as the two were discussing what to do next, a man suddenly came in from outside. He was the second vice palace master of the Azura Palace, a peak god emperor warrior. Other than the two of them, he was also the most powerful person in the Azura Palace. Palace Master, things are not good. Our disciples are constantly decreasing, and the corpses are just outside the palace.
Ah.
Hearing this, both of them were shocked and instantly disappeared from the palace. Outside the palace, looking at the 20 or so corpses on the ground, no matter if it was the punishment list or the punishment list, both of their faces were extremely gloomy. No matter who did this, it was a provocation to them. Once this matter was spread out, where would the Azura Palace's face go? Do you know who did it? The second vice palace master shook his head and said helplessly, "Palace Master, the person who came obviously did not want to fight us head-on. He just wanted to assassinate our divine Tao disciples, so we can't confirm his identity." Palace Master, do you think this was done by the Lu Li sect and Longao? Xingdan's first thought was Longao and the Lu Li sect. After all, according to the current situation, Longao and the Lu Li sect were the most suspicious. However, Xingdan shook his head and said with a cold smile, "Longao and the Lu Li sect are not fools. It's impossible for them to choose to deal with us at this time. Seems like it's done by other sections. How dare you pull the teeth from the tiger's mouth? You're simply courting death. Since you can't wait to be destroyed, I'll fulfill your wish. Just wait for it." Xingdan did not put Longao and the Lu Li sect in his eyes. In his opinion, it was impossible for this to be done by Longao and the Lu Li sect. After all, the surrounding sects did not like them. Chapter 16-15. Cloud Valley, Purple Flame Sect. Among all the second-rate forces, these two sects were the ones who disliked the Azura Palace the most. The strength of the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect was on par with the Azura Palace. With 2 against 1, the Azura Palace would have a hard time fending them off. Both the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect had 2 Nirvana realm martial artists. One had comprehended the heavens and the earth, while the other had comprehended the unity of heaven and man. The two sects had a total of 4 Nirvana realm martial artists. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. However, there was not much fear in the punishment. The reason was simple. Although the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect seemed to be in an alliance, their relationship was actually quite bad. Otherwise, how could the Azura Palace be so relaxed when the two sects joined hands? They were defeated one by one. From Xing Fei's point of view, the person who assassinated his disciple was either from Cloud Rising Valley or the Purple Flame sect. Outside Azura Peak. Elder Lu Li, if nothing unexpected happens, the Azura Palace will deal with the Cloud Valley or the Purple Flame sect next. Lu Li didn't expect this outcome either. "Master, I'm impressed that you're using others to do your dirty work. Get someone else to do the dirty work." Longao had never thought of killing someone with a borrowed knife. In his opinion, the reason he took the initiative to attack this time was to provoke the Punishment Palace, so that the Azura Palace would deal with him. This way, he would be able to save himself a lot of trouble. Longao didn't expect that Punishment didn't think that he was the one who did it. Instead, it was Cloud Valley or Purple Flame sect. Man's plans were better than God's. However, this was also a good thing. If the Azura Palace were to really fight with the other two sects, then he would be able to watch the fire from the other side of the river and reap the benefits from it. Master, what should we do now? Let's wait and see. Their sect was suddenly ambushed, and more than 20 people died. Furthermore, they were all supreme Dao martial artists. How could they swallow this grievance? However, Xing Fa wasn't a fool and wouldn't act recklessly. Once he angered Yungu and the Purple Flame sect, the two great sects would join hands. At that time, he would go for wool and come home shorn. Let's test them first. Before the punishment could be carried out, the Cloud Valley's Valley Master, Yun Luoshan, and the Purple Flame sect's Master, Zichuan, both sent word at the same time, saying that this matter had nothing to do with their sections. Daring and daring. The punishment was very clear. If this matter was really done by the two great sects, then Cloud Rising Valley and Purple Flame sect would definitely admit to it. During the age of chaos, you kill me and I kill you. If it wasn't the Cloud Rising Valley or the Purple Ember sect, then who could it be? After thinking about it, in the end, Xing Fa locked his target on Luli's sect and Longao. Because other than the two of them, he really couldn't think of anyone else who had such a big grudge with him. Azura Palace. The Silent Hall was especially eerie. Master, are you saying that what happened before was done by Longao and Luli? It shouldn't be too bad. He seemed a little surprised. Xingdan thought for a moment before saying, Master, Liuli and Longao are so daring. If it were any other time, even if you gave them 10,000 guts, I believe they wouldn't dare. But at this time, Luli and Longao aren't easy to deal with. Don't even think about stepping on us to climb up. It didn't matter if this matter was done by Longao and Luli. Xing Fa had already decided. Master, what should we do? If we don't solve this matter, where will our face go?
Especially at this time.
From now on, spread the word that we will deal with Luli's sect with all our strength. Whoever dares to cause trouble at this time, we will fight to the death.
Yes.
Xingdan immediately stood up and left the hall. As soon as Xingdan left, before Xing Fa could react, an old man appeared in front of him. Seeing the old man, Xing Fa was shocked. He immediately stood up and bowed respectfully. Greetings, old ancestor. The old man was none other than the Azura Palace's old ancestor, Xing Kun. 10,000 years ago, Xing Kun was born out of nowhere. Possessing great strength, Xing Kun used cruel methods to sweep across the world. No one could defeat him. 10,000 years ago, Xing Kun's cultivation had already broken through the Nirvana rebirth realm. However, because Xing Kun's methods were too cruel, it caused many people to complain. In the end, Xing Kun attracted the 10 old ancestors of the 10 directions to join forces and kill Xing Kun. 1 against 10, no matter how strong Xing Kun was, it was impossible for him to defeat 10 Nirvana rebirth realm warriors. The result was obvious. Xing Kun was besieged, and because of this, everyone unanimously believed that the devil Xing Kun from back then had fallen. If others were to see the fallen Xing Kun suddenly appear here, who knew if it would shock the world? Xing Fa, what is this? Xing Fa didn't dare to hide anything. He told everything that had happened before.
Kill.
A simple word was enough to express the Azura Palace's intention. After all, in the Azura Palace, Xing Kun was the god. No one dared to go against him. Outside the Azura Peak, after such a long time, Longao already knew that the situation was not good. He said helplessly, "It seems like this method of killing someone with a borrowed knife is not very effective. Elder Luli, let's continue to attack. I don't believe that the Azura Palace will continue to endure." After thinking for a while, Luli said worriedly, "Master, I wonder if you've heard of a person. Xing Kuan of the Azura Palace. Who was Xing Kuan? Longao knew nothing about this Xing Kuan mentioned by Lu Li. Master, Xing Kuan rose to power 10,000 years ago. He was from the same era as Jian Tian of the Sword Sect and Long Tian of the Long family. However, he seemed to be stronger. If it wasn't for Xing Kuan's cruel methods, he wouldn't have been besieged. However, Xing Dan had said that Xing Kuan didn't fall and was reborn. He was startled. Long Ao knew Long Tian and Jian Tian's strength better than anyone else. Since Xing Kuan was from the same era as these people, then there was no doubt that Xing Kuan was also a Nirvana Rebirth realm warrior. If he was still alive, then things would be troublesome. Long Ao never thought that the Azura Palace would have such a powerful person. The 10-Direction Tripod, Long Family, Dan Union, Martial Artists Alliance, Wanshou Sect, Heaven and Earth Sect, Five Elements Sect, Wanzhong School, Sword Sect, Purple Thunder Sect, and Profound Heaven Sect. The biggest reason why they could dominate the Sky Martial Continent was because each of the 10-Direction Tripod had a Nirvana Rebirth realm warrior. If the Azura Palace really had such a powerful warrior, then even if their strength was weaker, the 10-Direction Tripod wouldn't dare to provoke the Azura Palace. After all, a Nirvana Rebirth realm warrior could sweep across the world, and no one could defeat him. No wonder the Azura Palace wanted to get their hands on the 10-Direction Tripod. With the strength of a second-rate force, they couldn't compete with a 10-Direction Tripod. Getting their hands on the 10-Direction Tripod was the same as seeking death. However, with Xing Kuan in the Azura Palace, the impossible became possible. This was the power of a Nirvana Rebirth realm warrior. Chapter 16:16. How could Long Ao not understand Lu Li's intention? Once Xing Kuan interfered in this matter, it would be troublesome. Long Ao knew clearly that there were some things that he had to do. If he was afraid of Xing Kuan and took a step back, the Azura Palace would definitely press on. If he took a step back, the Azura Palace would take a step forward. Lu Li, follow me? Lu Li was not a fool. Of course, she knew what Long Ao meant. The two of them were like two cheetahs. With two whooshing sounds, the two of them disappeared without a trace. In the following period of time, Long Ao and Lu Li were killing the disciples of the Azura Palace at their fastest speed. They were too lazy to deal with those below the Great Emperor realm. In just half an hour, hundreds of disciples of the Azura Palace had fainted. The two of them were too powerful. One was a peak god realm warrior, while the other was a Nirvana realm warrior who had comprehended the heaven and earth. The two of them were too fast. They came and went without a trace. In the 9 heavens, Punisher raised his head and looked at the two people in the air. His expression was extremely gloomy as he coldly said, Long Ao, Lu Li, the two of you really don't know what's good for you. You actually dare to provoke me. He sneered. Xing Du, if we didn't take the initiative to attack, I believe you would attack us soon. If that's the case, why don't we dare? Without waiting for Xing Du to speak, Long Ao continued, Xing Du, I can give you a chance now. Bring the Azura Palace and submit to the Dragon Sect. I can let bygones be bygones. Haha, with just you? Hearing this, Xing Dan and Xing laughed crazily, and everyone around them laughed as well. Their laughter was filled with disdain and ridicule, as if they had heard the funniest thing in the world. Courting death. As soon as Xing Du finished speaking, Xing Du and Xing Dan had already rushed out. In the blink of an eye, the four of them were engaged in a fierce battle. In the 9 heavens, a shocking battle was taking place. Lu Li's cultivation had only reached the level of comprehending the heaven and earth. Once she encountered Xing Du, she would die. Of course, Long Ao wouldn't lose Lu Li for nothing. Thus, Lu Li fought against Xing Dan, while Long Ao fought against Xing Dan. A god-emperor martial artist fought against a martial artist who was one with the world. Was this true? Looking at Long Ao fighting against the palace masters in the sky, everyone in the Azura Palace was dumbfounded, especially the 11 palace masters. Self-created martial technique, heaven and earth mourn. With Long Ao as the center, A huge vortex of air suddenly appeared. Before punishment could react, he had already been sucked into the vortex. Inside the vortex, Longao and his samsara doppelganger attacked each other fiercely. Wave after wave, like the waves of the sea, surging violently. Longao, I have to admit that your strength and talent are the best I've ever seen. But now, I'll tell you what the absolute gap between realms is. Punishment cultivated the power of Azura. When one's cultivation broke through to one with the world, he would condense his own heaven and earth domain. Punishment merged his Azura power into his heaven and earth domain, forming the Azura domain. Nirvana martial artists, especially those who broke through to one with the world, could defeat all other martial artists with their heaven and earth domain alone. Ordinary martial artists would die without a doubt when faced with the suppression of the heaven and earth domain. Except for Longao. He was an anomaly. Longao had the reincarnation sword, the most precious treasure of the reincarnation clan. Moreover, he cultivated the reincarnation sword art. The reincarnation sword light released could not only break the aura of heaven and earth, but also the heaven and earth domain, including the Azura domain. Holding the reincarnation sword tightly, Longao swung his sword a few times. The terrifying sword light instantly broke through the suppression of punishment's Azura domain.
Shock.
Incomparable shock. The Azura domain he released was broken? If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he wouldn't believe that a puny god emperor martial artist could break through his Azura domain even if he was beaten to death. Taking advantage of the situation. Although Longao knew that he couldn't win, he still took the initiative to attack. No matter when, he didn't like to be passive. However, Longao didn't come here to risk his life with punishment and Luli. After 30 rounds of battle, Longao and Luli left together. It was as if the two of them had discussed it beforehand. Looking at the two people who had already disappeared, the punishment master's face was filled with shock. Because until now, he still couldn't figure out how Longao was able to break through the Azura domain that he had released. Unless it was heavenly cycle multiplication, could it be that Longao was hiding his strength? Impossible. It was completely impossible. Longao's strength was obvious. Not to mention cycle multiplication, Longao hadn't even broken through to the heaven and earth domain. Master, Longao and Luli are provoking us. If we don't chase after them, I'm afraid, waving his hand. Before Xingdan could finish his words, Punishment suddenly said excitedly, I really didn't expect Longao's divine sword to be able to break through my Azura domain. If only I could get my hands on that sword. After the battle just now, Xingdan was almost certain that the reason why Longao was able to break through his Azura domain was because of the divine sword. Xingdan's face revealed a strong greed. Not only Xingdan, even Xingdan, who heard about this matter, was extremely envious. Master, what should we do now? I keep feeling that something is wrong. Why did Longao and Luli provoke us out of the blue? Don't they have anything better to do? He cursed in his heart. However, since Punishment was the Azura Palace's palace master, he didn't dare to say anything. Looks like we have to test them out first. One couldn't help but admit that Punishment was very careful. If it was someone else, they would have already chased after them. Xingdan was one of them. Punishment had sent out 11 vice palace masters, all of whom were god emperors. With such strength, no one in the Luli sect would be a match for them unless Luli personally took action. Punishment and Xingdan followed closely behind. The 13 of them left the Azura Palace and headed towards the Luli sect, which was the headquarters of the Dragon Sect's branch. As soon as Punishment and the others left the Azura Palace, Longao and Luli received the news. Longao wasn't surprised by this result. Instead, it was Luli who was extremely worried. After all, the Azura Palace's strength was obvious. With Punishment and the 12 vice palace masters here, would they be able to withstand them? In the main hall of the Dragon Sect's branch, Sect Leader, Xing Fei and the others are already here. Can the formation we set up really hold them off? Although the Luli sect had submitted to the Dragon Sect, in Luli's heart, he didn't want his sect to suffer any losses. Although he trusted Long Ao was too young. His talent and strength were powerful. How could his formation be so powerful as well? It was impossible. If they let their guard down, they would fall into eternal damnation. P.S. The 8th chapter has been delivered. 2 more chapters will be updated at night. Xiaojio is going to rest for a while. Those who have votes, please vote for Longao.
Xiaojio, thanks.
Chapter 16-17. They didn't believe him. Longao wasn't angry at all because no matter who it was, they wouldn't choose to believe him. Elder Luli, let's wait and see. Looking at Longao's confident face, what else could Luli say? A few hours later, Xing and the others had arrived at the Luli Peak. Master, what should we do now? Looking at the huge peak in front of him, Xing didn't know why, but he had an ominous feeling. Xingdan, you go in and check it out.
Ah?
Xingdan's expression changed when he heard the palace master asking him to enter the Luli Peak. If he refused in front of so many people, wouldn't he lose face? After cursing in his heart, Xingdan said with a calm face, "Palace master, wait for my good news. Be careful." Without saying anything else, Xingdan took a big step forward and dashed out like a whirlwind. In the blink of an eye, Xingdan's figure had disappeared without a trace. Inside the Luli Peak. Currently, the Luli Peak was filled with terrifying formations. Not to mention Xingdan, even Xing and Nirvana Realm warriors wouldn't be able to leave easily once trapped in the formations. Halfway up the mountain, it was a spacious, flat land. There were rocks and weeds everywhere, just like a mass grave. Longao, Luli, I'm here. Show yourself. Xingdan is indeed heroic. Longao and Luli appeared at the same time and looked coldly at Xingdan in front of them. Longao did not have the slightest expression, but Luli was very worried. Both of them had received the news that Xingdan and the others were outside the peak, and only Xingdan came in. Longao sneered in his heart. How could he not know Xingdan's intention? In the end, Xingdan was afraid of him, so he didn't dare to come in himself. Besides, Longao also admired Xingdan. As expected of the Azura Palace's palace master, he was more careful than many people. Longao, Luli, how dare you provoke the Azura Palace? Only death awaits you. Before the two of them could say anything, Xingdan continued, however, our hall master is magnanimous and can give you a chance.
Tell me about it.
As long as you're willing to submit to the Azura Palace, we can let bygones be bygones. He smiled and shook his head. Longao's face was full of mockery as he said disdainfully, I don't know if you are naive or if I am deaf. Xingdan, do you think that we will choose to submit?
No.
Xingdan knew this better than anyone else. Luli, the Luli sect that you worked so hard to build, are you willing to give it to this person? He should be willing. Since she had already made up her mind, Luli would not regret it. Luli, I feel bad for you. Sowing dissension. How could Longao not know what Xingdan meant? If it was someone else, they might have been fooled. However, Longao knew Luli more or less. Luli was quite a character. Xingdan, it seems that your sowing dissension is useless. You entered my dragon sect alone. Do you think you can leave smoothly? Looking at the sinister smile on their faces, Xingdan's heart skipped a beat. Could it be that they were prepared to deal with him? If that was the case, he would be in big trouble. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't afraid. Xingdan knew clearly that even if he had comprehended the heavens and earth, the other side also had someone who had comprehended the heavens and earth. Moreover, Longao's strength was not simple. It would be difficult for him to defeat the two of them alone. He cursed the hall master in his heart. Xingdan was cursing himself in his heart. If it wasn't for his pride, he wouldn't have ended up like this. He couldn't advance or retreat. He was in a dilemma. Are you afraid? Afraid? Before Xingdan could speak, Longao and Luli's figures suddenly disappeared. The array around them was activated immediately. The array was linked together, and a single move would affect the whole body. Array? Of course, Xing Dan knew that the array around them had been activated. It was because of this that Xing Dan was shocked. He never thought that the other party could set up an array. When did such a powerful array master appear in the Luli sect? Could it be Longao? Even so, Xing Dan still didn't care about the array around them. Although an array master was powerful, he had to be at a certain level. After all, a level 9 array master and an emperor-level array master were two different concepts. From the beginning to the end, no one was willing to believe that Longao was a god-level array master. Otherwise, Xing Dan wouldn't be so calm. 2 hours later, looking at the corpse on the ground, Luli was a little dumbfounded. Until now, he still hadn't realized that the array set up by the master had killed a Nirvana realm cultivator. If that was the case, wouldn't the array set up by the master be able to kill him? Master, what should we do now? After the matter with Xing Dan, Longao's position in Luli's heart immediately rose. Luli knew very well that according to the power of the array, if there were no accidents, the master should be a god-level array master. Although it was a little unimaginable, the truth was right in front of him. He couldn't help but believe it. I'm going to refine Xing Dan into a corpse slave. Wait for me here. Longao's figure immediately appeared in the dragon seal space. He looked at Long Fu and asked impatiently, Long Fu, how long will it take for you to refine a corpse slave that can comprehend the heavens and earth? Long Fu also knew the seriousness of the matter. He lowered his head and thought for a moment, then said, Master, the blood pool has already broken out of the seal. Although I can use the dragon seal to refine a corpse slave, the corpse slave refined will be very different from the one refined by the blood pool. How's its strength? It's about the same. However, Master, the refining speed will be slower. I've already calculated. Even if I refine it with all my strength, it will still take me a day and a night. A day and a night wasn't too long for Longao. He knew very well that as long as Xing Dan didn't leave, she wouldn't casually step into the dragon seal space. If that was the case, then it would be time for him to make his move after a day and a night. Long Fu, I'm counting on you. In the following time, Long Fu began to refine a corpse slave with all his strength. After all, the blood pool had already broken out of the seal. Without the help of the blood pool, the speed of refining a corpse slave would be much slower. However, in terms of power, whether it was a corpse slave refined by the blood pool or a corpse refined by the dragon seal, there wasn't much difference in strength. Longao cared about the corpse slave's strength and not the refining time. Because to him, refining for a few hours and refining for a day and a night didn't make much difference. Author's note, the 9th chapter has been delivered. Little 9 is tired. Today's chapter will be added tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'll update as many chapters as I can. Chapter 16-18. Outside the Luli Mountain. It had been a day and a night since Xing Dan entered the Luli sect. Xing Dan still hadn't come out. Did something happen to Xing Dan? Although Xing Dan was a little worried, he was still very clear about Xing Dan's strength. It was almost impossible to kill Xing Dan with just Longao and Luli. Under normal circumstances, Xing Dan should have come out no matter what happened after entering the Luli sect. But what happened? What the hell happened? Time passed by slowly. The day was fading away and dusk was coming. Right at this moment, Xing Dan's figure suddenly appeared. Seeing the figure coming from afar, Xing Dan and the others were overjoyed. No matter what, it was good that Xing Dan was fine. After all, a Nirvana realm warrior was something the Azura Palace couldn't afford to lose. Palace Master. Xing Dan, what happened in the Luli sect? Xing Dan looked at Xing Dan in front of him and was very curious. He could clearly feel that the aura emitted from Xing Dan's body wasn't right. Palace Master, Longao and Luli set up a formation and trapped me inside. Formation? When did a formation master appear in the Luli sect? Xing Dan knew the situation in the Luli sect very well. If that was the case, it was very simple. The sudden appearance of a formation master in the Luli sect seemed to be brought here by Longao. To be able to trap Xingdan for a day and a night, it already showed the power of the Luli sex formation. Just as expected, Xingdan felt that something wasn't right. It seemed that his intuition was right. Palace Master, what should we do now? Xingdan was expressionless. After all, corpse slaves weren't real humans. They couldn't have human expressions. Before Xingdan could say anything, Xingdan, who was respectful just a moment ago, suddenly took a big step forward and punched out with both fists. The situation was too sudden. The 11 deputy palace masters didn't have time to react. Xingdan was very calm. He dodged to the left and steadily dodged Xingdan's fists. He sneered. Xingping turned his body sideways and struck Xingdan with his palm. Xingdan's body was sent flying like a kite with a broken string. But in the air, Xingdan forcefully turned around and stopped.
And scathed.
He was very shocked because punishment was very confident in the strength of his attack. Even Xingdan would not be able to take it head-on. Xingdan, are you crazy? The second vice palace master had a very gloomy expression on his face. That was because no one knew exactly what was going on with Xingdan and why she would suddenly attack them. Could it be that Xingdan had betrayed them? It didn't seem very likely because the difference in strength between the Azura Palace and the Luli sect was too big. Not to mention Xingdan, no matter who it was, they wouldn't choose the Luli sect and give up on the Azura Palace. Punishment's face was also very gloomy. Staring coldly at Xingdan, Xingdan suddenly said, Longao, Azurite, since you didn't achieve your goal, shouldn't you show yourself? Ha ha ha, Punishment, you're really amazing. Looking at the two people slowly walking towards him, the punishment officer's face grew increasingly gloomy. Longao was also quite surprised. According to his estimates, after Xingdan had been refined into a corpse slave, there was a high chance that he would be able to kill Xingdan in a sneak attack. After all, Xingdan would not expect Xingdan to suddenly attack. However, the result was beyond his expectations. It seemed like Xingdan wasn't a simple person. The more it was so, the more helpless Longao felt. Since they didn't manage to kill Xingdan this time, it wouldn't be easy for them to find another opportunity in the future. Corpse slave? According to the legends, Longao was able to refine corpse slaves, and with his corpse slave army, he had always been invincible. Xingdan was almost certain that Xingdan was definitely refined into a corpse slave by Longao. It was precisely because of this that he was very shocked, because Xingdan's strength was right there. How exactly did Longao and Luli do it? It seems like the corpse slaves I've refined are quite famous. Punishment, I believe you've seen Xingdan's strength. With your strength, you won't be able to break through Xingdan's defense. What do you think will happen if Xingdan attacks the Azura Palace? There was no answer. That was because, of course, Xingdan knew what would happen once he entered the Azura Palace with Xingdan's current strength and powerful defense. Punishment was very depressed. He didn't expect that he would become the passive one when he was the one taking the initiative. Longao, what do you want? Seizing the initiative, Longao said with a smile, My condition is very simple. From now on, the Azura Palace and Longao will mind their own business. I won't stop you. I hope you won't bother me again. Otherwise, you'll have to bear the consequences. Longao was very clear about the strength of himself and the Longao's branch. At this moment, fighting the Azura Palace head-on was like hitting a rock with an egg. As the saying goes, revenge is a dish best served cold. When the Longao's branch grew stronger, it wouldn't be too late to deal with the Azura Palace. How could Punishment not understand Longao's intention? Should he just give up like this? Punishment's heart was filled with endless unwillingness because Longao was too unpredictable. With Longao's talent and potential, he believed that his future would be bright. When that time came, once Longao grew stronger, would he and the Azura Palace still have a chance to survive? If he didn't remove the roots now, it would grow again in the future. He couldn't agree, but he also couldn't refuse. Longao, you're too arrogant. Right at this moment, a faintly discernible voice suddenly sounded. Then, an old man appeared out of thin air. He had a smile on his face, but it was a very treacherous smile. Ancestor. Looking at the old man who appeared in front of them, the punishment 12 immediately bowed respectfully. Xingkuan? From Lu Li's words, Longao already knew who Xingkuan was. The ancestor of the Azura Palace, Xingkuan, had become famous 10,000 years ago. He was a Nirvana reborn warrior, and his strength was even higher than Long Tian. According to Lu Li, Xingkuan's strength was even stronger than the myriad beast's ancestor. 10,000 years ago, he was known as the #1 warrior under the heavenly Tao. However, after Xingkuan's fall, the title of #1 warrior under the heavenly Tao was given to the myriad beast's ancestor. One could imagine just how powerful Xingkuan's strength was. Xingkuan looked at Xingdan, who was not far away. It would be a lie if he said he wasn't surprised. After all, if he didn't see it with his own eyes, even he wouldn't believe it. Longao, I don't have any problems with the conditions you just mentioned. Ancestor. Punishment 12 was shocked when he heard the ancestor agree. He didn't expect the ancestor to really agree. However, Xingkuan waved his hand and said with a smile, I know what I'm doing. Don't say anything. Chapter 16-19. Looking at the sudden arrival of Xingkuan, Lu Li's face turned ugly. Xingkuan, the strongest person 10,000 years ago. His methods were cruel and he slaughtered all living things. Lu Li never thought that Xingkuan would really come. Did she really make the wrong choice this time? Both Longao and Lu Li were not fools. Of course, they knew that Xingkuan would not agree so easily. After all, Xingkuan's strength was there. Xingkuan, tell me your conditions. Longao was very afraid of Xingkuan. He could almost say that Xingkuan's strength had not weakened after the rebirth of his primordial spirit. In other words, today, Xingkuan was a genuine Nirvana rebirth expert. Only one step. Only one step. As long as Xingkuan devoured the origin power, he believed that in less than a month, Xingkuan's cultivation would break through the Nirvana realm and reach the so-called Starry Sky realm, becoming a Starry Sky cultivator. Such a super expert, even if countless arrays were arranged, could not be eliminated. Unless the array level continued to break through and reach the legendary Starry Sky Array Master. Xingkuan smiled. Longao, you're very smart. I have heard about your matter. I have to admit, you are definitely the first person since ancient times to make the 3 super forces like this. Longao did not speak. He just looked at him coldly. Longao, your conditions are simple, but mine are even simpler.
Please say.
I am very interested in the divine sword in your hand. As long as you hand over the sword, the method to refine corpse slaves, the time martial arts you practice, and the spatial divine tool, not only will the grudge between us be written off, I can even promise you that the Azura Palace will fully support you. Longao. What do you think? So that was it. Longao knew that things were not so simple. How could Xingkuan be so kind? Not only would he let bygones be bygones, but he would also help him. In the end, Xingkuan wanted all the treasures on him. All of a sudden, Longao laughed. Longao, what are you laughing at? Xing Fa was very unwilling in his heart because the things that the old ancestor had mentioned were things that he yearned for even in his dreams. However, the old ancestor had already appeared. Even if he had endless anger and unwillingness in his heart, he could only be angry and not say anything. Longao, this matter will only bring you benefits and no harm. He sneered. Xingkuan, do you think I will agree? As the saying goes, a wise man submits to circumstances. Even if you have a treasure, only death awaits you. Xingkuan's heart was filled with greed because the godly sword Longao had used was able to break through penalties heaven and earth domain. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. As for the other items, he had only heard of them through hearsay. As for whether the other party had them or not, even Xingkuan himself could not be certain. Other than the divine sword, there was also the method to refine corpse slaves. Xing was very clear that if he could obtain the method to refine corpse slaves, then even if he lost this opportunity, as long as he could refine over 1 million corpse slaves, he would be able to conquer the continent in the future. It was precisely because of this. In Xing view, he didn't care about Longao's life at all because in his eyes, even if Longao's talent was powerful, he might not be able to break through the Nirvana realm within 100 years. Even if Longao could break through the Nirvana realm, it was still unknown whether he could reach the Nirvana rebirth realm. Xing only wanted these things, especially the Samsara sword and the method to refine corpse slaves. He was determined to get it. How could Longao not know what Xing meant? Master, I know what to do. Luli was very worried because Xing was known for being ruthless. If the master did not agree, not to mention the rise of the sect in the future, it was unknown whether they could survive. He cursed in his heart. Longao turned and left. Soon, the two figures disappeared from Luli Peak. What was the meaning of Longao's words? Looking at the disappearing figures, Xing face turned ugly. Before Xing could say anything, he suddenly sneered and said, "I like this person's character. How dare he go against my will? I want to see how arrogant he can be." Dragon Sect branch inside the main hall. Master, Xing has appeared. If nothing unexpected happens, Xing will not let this matter go. Longao knew clearly about Luli's worries. Elder Luli immediately spread the news that Xing is still alive. "I want to see what the situation outside is like." Yes. Luli understood the master's meaning very well. She did not dare to hesitate and immediately left the main hall. Half an hour later, the old ancestor of the Azura Palace, Xing, the super great devil who ruled the world 10,000 years ago, had suddenly appeared in the world. When the news was spread, it instantly shook the world. Xing reputation was too great. If he did not fall, wouldn't he bring harm to the world again? If it was any other time, the 10-Direction Cauldron would be shocked when they received the news of Xing rebirth. After all, the 10 of them had joined hands to kill Xing. But now, the 10-Direction Cauldron each had their own ulterior motives. How could they continue to work together to deal with Xing? Xing took advantage of this and dared to show himself. Otherwise, no matter how powerful he was, he would not be able to dominate the world if he did not break through to the peak of the martial Tao. The current Xing had restrained himself a lot. Otherwise, according to Xing methods in the past, once he was reborn, he would definitely cause a reign of terror in the world. Master, the news of Xing rebirth has been spread. However, the 10-Direction Cauldron has not made any moves. It seems like no one will deal with Xing in this situation. We are in big trouble. Regarding this point, Longao had long guessed it. Now that the world was in turmoil, the 10-Direction Cauldron could not even take care of themselves. Not to mention the 10-Direction Cauldron joining hands, no one would dare to make a move. In this chaotic world, no one would want to rise, no one wanted to be eliminated. Just like what Luli had said, if this was the case, he would be in big trouble. It was almost impossible to kill Xing by relying on the formation alone. What should he do? Longao was very gloomy because this time he was still thinking of subduing the Luli sect so that he could quickly rise in the Sky Martial Continent. However, he never thought that a Nirvana rebirth warrior would suddenly appear out of nowhere from the Azura Palace. This completely messed up his plan. Elder Luli, what do you think we should do now? Master, forgive me for being blunt. With our current strength, we are no match for them. As the saying goes, where there is life, there is hope. Why don't we hide for a while? If we choose to fight them head-on, I'm afraid the final result will be very disadvantageous for us. Master, I have a very hidden place. I believe the Azura Palace will have a hard time finding us. Chapter 1620. Li only meant one thing, and that was to withdraw. If it were any other time, Longao would have definitely chosen to compromise.
But now,
the continent was in chaos. Once they withdrew, it would be much more difficult to make a comeback. Elder Luli, do you know why I've come to you this time? He shook his head. Luli was still very depressed. He didn't know why the Azura Palace and Longao had come to him. After all, he just wanted to become a second-rate force. That was all. You're a wolf in sheep's clothing. You're very shrewd. I like your character. That was all. Luli became more and more depressed when he heard Longao's reason. If he had known, he wouldn't have concealed his strength. Instead, he would have directly unleashed his full strength. Longao smiled. All of a sudden, Elder Luli, do you know what the peak of the martial path is? Master, I know very well. Please get straight to the point, Master. Luli was a little confused. Until now, he still didn't know what Longao meant. The peak of the martial path is also known as the Starry Sky Realm. Longao didn't hide anything from Luli because in Longao's view, Luli was a trustworthy person. Because of this, he roughly told him about the peak of the martial path. After hearing it, Luli was extremely shocked, because it could be said that he knew nothing about what Longao had said. Even so, what could he do? In Luli's view, whether it was the peak of the martial path or the Starry Sky Realm, it had nothing to do with him. He was just perceiving the world. Not to mention the Starry Sky Realm, even the oneness of heaven and man realm was very difficult to break through. Elder Luli, if there's a chance for you to break through to the Starry Sky Realm, would you accept it?
Huh?
He still seemed a little confused. Could he break through to the Starry Sky Realm? Luli shook his head with a smile and sighed helplessly. Master, don't joke with me. How can I reach the Starry Sky Realm? As everyone knew, there were only two peak experts in the Tianwu continent. One was the marvelous mathematician, and the other was the heavenly path. I'm not joking. He still had a helpless smile on his face. However, when Luli looked at Longao, who was right in front of her, she suddenly had a strange expression on her face. Master, what do you mean? I already treat you as one of my own. To be honest, I've already obtained the inheritance of the starry sky, but it's not me. It's my family. I believe that in less than 10 years, the dragon sect will have a starry sky warrior.
Huh?
Luli was completely shocked because she knew very well that the master in front of her didn't seem to be lying. If this was true, it would be a little inconceivable. Elder Luli, I only have one goal right now, and that is to rise to power. Once my family reaches the starry sky, the martial heaven continent will be dominated by the dragon sect. There was not the slightest doubt. Luli knew very well that if this was true, then the dragon sect would be able to dominate the mainland in the future. At that time, no matter who it was, even if it was a tripod of 10 forces, they would not be able to compete with the dragon sect. Even so, what did this have to do with her? Luli knew very well that with her strength, she could at most become an elder of the dragon sect. Even if Longao could obtain the inheritance of the starry sky, why would he give it to her? Let alone Longao, she believed that no matter who it was, they wouldn't give such an important thing to an outsider. Seeing the expression on Luli's face, Longao knew what Luli was thinking. Elder Luli, you will definitely become a starry sky warrior in the future. At this point, Longao did not continue. As for whether she believed it or not, that was up to Luli, Master. What should we do next? Whether or not she could reach the starry sky realm was a matter for the future. The only thing she had to do now was help the dragon sect avoid this crisis because the current branch of the dragon sect was the Luli sect. According to my guess, if nothing unexpected happens, Xing Kuan won't easily make a move against us before he's completely confident. Was that true? Luli naturally didn't choose to believe it, but since the master had said so, what else could she say? Since he had already chosen to submit to Longao, he would not have the slightest bit of regret. Just as Longao had guessed, Xing Kuan wouldn't casually make a move before he was completely confident. The current Xing Kuan was no longer the Xing Kuan of 10,000 years ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't have died back then. In front of the Luli Peak, Xing Kuan wasn't surprised at all because he had guessed that Longao would definitely leak the news of his reappearance. However, Xing Kuan was confident that with the current chaotic situation of the continent, the 10-directional cauldron wouldn't casually make a move against him unless there was something wrong with their heads. No matter what, Xing Kun had full confidence in his own strength. Standing behind the matriarch, Xing Kun didn't dare to say a word. He didn't know what the matriarch was afraid of. After all, no one in the Lu Li sect was a match for the matriarch. As long as the matriarch gave the word, the sect would slaughter its way into the Lu Li sect. In less than an hour, the Lu Li sect would disappear from the martial heaven continent. Longao isn't simple. If my guess isn't wrong, his relationship with the god diviner isn't as simple as it seems. Xing Kun naturally knew about the battle in the sword sect. The god diviner had appeared for no reason and even sided with Longao. Everyone knew that this matter wasn't as simple as it seemed. Matriarch, are we just going to stay here forever? In Xing Kun's opinion, if the god diviner was siding with Longao, he wouldn't give the 3 superpowers any chance. That was why Xing Kun wanted to slaughter his way into the Lu Li sect. I don't want to make the slightest mistake. 10,000 years ago, I failed once. Now that I've been reborn, I won't fail again. I can't afford to lose. I hope that during this chaos, I'll be able to obtain core energy and break through to the peak of the martial path. Otherwise, in 3 years, all of us will die. Xing Kun jumped in fright. He didn't know what the matriarch was saying. On the martial heaven continent, there were no less than 10 people who had broken through to the nirvanic rebirth realm. Xing Kun really couldn't understand. Other than the god diviner and the heavenly Daos, who else could kill the matriarch? Could it be the god diviner and the heavenly Daos? Your guess is correct. The heavenly Daos have already left. The god diviner will be in seclusion for 3 years. Other than changing the power structure of the continent, he won't give the heavenly Daos a chance. In 3 years, if the god diviner loses, all of us will be killed by the heavenly Daos. It will be just like 10,000 years ago when the heavenly Daos killed all the peak experts of the martial path. Chapter 16:21.
Tian Dao.
How could Xing not know the strength of Tian Dao? If it was as the old ancestor said, then as long as Tian Dao was willing, he could kill all the Nirvana rebirth warriors in the continent at any time. One had to know that the way of the heavens could even kill other experts at the pinnacle of martial arts. One could imagine how terrifying Tian Dao's strength was. Xing finally knew what the old ancestor was afraid of. Could it be that he had to keep guarding like this? Xing was more or less depressed because guarding like this was not a solution. After all, the current sky martial continent was in chaos. If he missed this opportunity, it would be much harder to rise up in the future. What happened to Xing Dan? Xing shrugged helplessly. As for why Xing Dan had entered the Lu Li sect, he had no clue as to why she had perished and been refined into a corpse slave. Old ancestor, I don't know either.
He seemed to have thought of something.
Old ancestor, why don't we continue to send people into Lu Li's sect? He shook his head. Waving his hand, Xing Kun was also a little afraid. Otherwise, Xing Kun would not have kept guarding here and would have killed his way into Lu Li's sect. Even Xing Dan was refined into a corpse slave. It seems that Lu Li's sect is a little strange. Hearing the old ancestor's words, Xing was depressed to the extreme. Xing, how many Azura scorpions do we have left? Azura scorpions? Could it be that the old ancestor wanted to use Azura scorpions? Shocked, Xing answered truthfully, Old ancestor, 10,000 years ago, our Azura scorpions were exterminated by the 10-direction cauldron. After 10,000 years of cultivation, we still have hundreds of thousands of them. Hundreds of thousands of Azura scorpions. If this matter was known by the 10-direction cauldron, it would cause panic. Azura scorpions, 10,000 years ago. Other than Xing Kun's own strength, the Azura scorpions that he cultivated were also super evil creatures. Every Azura scorpion's strength was about the same. All of them were in the divine realm. What kind of concept was that? Hundreds of thousands of Azura scorpions, and every Azura scorpion had poison. As long as a person touched it, Even if it was a supreme divine realm martial artist, or even a nirvana martial artist, they would immediately be infected by the poison and die in a few seconds. This was the terror of Azura scorpions. Send 10,000 Azura scorpions to attack Lu Li sect. Yes, ancestor. I'll do it right away. Even if he was extremely unwilling, the Azura berserk scorpion was a terrifying divine beast nurtured by the old ancestor. He had no right to say anything. Furthermore, he was well aware of the old ancestor's personality. Even if he was the old ancestor's junior disciple, as long as the old ancestor was displeased, the old ancestor would kill him at any time. Branch of the Dragon Sect. In the main hall. 2 whole days had passed, but the Azura Palace still hadn't taken any action. This made Longao a little puzzled. Could it be that the Azura Palace had chosen to give up? It was absolutely impossible because Longao knew Xing Kuan's character very well. If he chose to give up so easily, then he would not be the legendary Xing Kuan. Master, I've just received news that the people of the Azura Palace are still guarding outside. They haven't taken a single step out. So that was the case. Longao was not surprised at all, because he had already guessed that the Azura Palace would not give up so easily. It would be strange if the Azura Palace left. If nothing goes wrong, it seems like the Azura Palace will soon invade. How could Lu Li not know? However, since things had already come to this, it wouldn't be easy to leave now. Cut the weeds and dig up the roots to prevent any future troubles. Master, why don't we move first? All along, Lu Li had been advocating to retreat first and then take revenge. However, Longao's idea was the exact opposite of Lu Li's. Before Longao could say anything, right at this moment, earth-shaking rustling sounds came from outside, and a bloody smell came from outside. Longao and Lu Li, who were in the middle of a discussion, sensed the horrifying smell of blood. Both of their faces changed. They looked at each other. Neither of them knew what was going on. However, both of them knew that this was definitely related to the Azura Palace. It seemed like the Azura Palace couldn't wait any longer. Both of them immediately left the main hall. In the blink of an eye, they were already outside the main hall. As soon as they stepped out, both of them were dumbfounded. At first glance, there were densely packed scorpions everywhere. Each scorpion was the size of a human. Their eyes emitted cold, killing intent, and their bodies emitted a horrifying bloody smell. Azura berserk scorpions. Azura berserk scorpions? What was that? Of course, Lu Li knew that Longao definitely didn't know what the Azura berserk scorpions were. However, Lu Li used her fastest speed to explain the general situation of the Azura berserk scorpions. Tens of thousands of divine beast Azura berserk scorpions, and each of them carried a deadly poison. Such a horrifying army could easily wipe out the entire continent. Longao finally knew why the 10 Direction Cauldrons wanted to join hands to kill Xing Kuan 10,000 years ago. Putting aside Xing Kuan's strength, just these horrifying Azura berserk scorpions were enough to slaughter the entire continent. Screams could be heard one after another. Although Longao and Lu Li were strong, it wasn't realistic for them to wipe out tens of thousands of Azura berserk scorpions in one fell swoop. The Azura berserk scorpions were extremely horrifying. In just 10 minutes, everyone in the Dragon Sect's branch was covered. Other than Longao and Lu Li, no one could come out alive. The entire Lu Li Peak was filled with a strong bloody smell. Longao immediately summoned Xingdan. Even so, Xingdan couldn't withstand the attack of the Azura berserk scorpions. The two of them retreated step by step. Master, the array? Array? If the array could be activated, why would Longao wait for so long? He didn't know what was going on. When the Azura berserk scorpions were slaughtering everyone, Longao was already prepared to activate the array. However, no matter how he tried, the array couldn't be activated. What was going on? Lu Li, the moment you and I leave, I believe that Xing Kuan will attack us. Therefore, we must. Before Longao could speak, Xing Kuan's voice was heard. Longao, my conditions are still valid. As long as you hand over everything, I can let you go. Otherwise, you won't even have a corpse left. Trash. Things had already reached this stage. Longao knew very well that even if he chose to compromise, there would only be one result. He would be killed by the other party. Xing Kun was such a cruel person. How could he leave any trouble for him? It was a joke. Master, I have a secret passage. As long as we are careful, I believe that Xing Kun won't be able to track us. Chapter 16:22. Was he going to leave just like that? Longao wanted to take advantage of the chaos to rise, but he never expected to meet Xing Kun. What a scam. Should he continue to stay or leave? Luli, you leave first. I would like to meet Xing Kun.
Ah?
Luli was shocked when she heard what her master said. With her master's strength, it was unrealistic for him to fight against Xing Kun. Master. She waved her hand. Longao knew what Luli wanted to say. He smiled and said, Luli, don't worry about me. If Xing Kun can keep me here, I don't need to continue. He didn't continue. Longao stood up and took a deep look in front of him. Then, he disappeared from the hall. Looking at the endless Azura scorpions swarming over, even if he was a Nirvana realm expert, he still felt numb. I hope Master can come back safely. Luli didn't hesitate and left quickly. Outside Luli Peak, looking at the young man in front of him, Xing Kun felt small. He had full confidence in the Azura Scorpion's army that he cultivated. Not to mention Emperor gods, even Nirvana realm experts wouldn't be able to withstand the attack of the Azura Scorpion's army. Longao, you are a smart man. In Xing Kun's opinion, since Longao had come out, he would definitely choose to compromise. As for Lu Li's life, Xing Kun didn't care. Xing Kun, if I want to leave, I'm afraid you won't be able to stop me. Is that so? Why don't you try? Without waiting for Xing Kun to finish speaking, Longao's figure instantly disappeared. With the help of spatial teleportation, Longao appeared thousands of meters away with just a few teleportations. However, at this moment, Longao was prepared to teleport away, but no matter what, he couldn't teleport away. The space ripples were disrupted. Ha ha ha, Longao, I know you have a space divine device. If I didn't take precautions, you would have escaped. Hearing Xing Kun's words, Longao calmed down. With the Samsara sword in his hand, Longao coldly looked at the Azura scorpions that suddenly appeared around him. There were so many of them. Not to mention tens of thousands. At a glance, there were at least tens of thousands of them. Although Longao believed in his own strength, he was also aware of his own limitations. As the saying went, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. Taking the initiative to attack, Longao took a big stride forward. His entire body dashed out. Before he arrived, the reincarnation sword in his hand had already been drawn. The reincarnation sword light flashed like lightning. The reincarnation sword light could even break through the domain of heaven and earth, let alone the Azura scorpion. The Azura violent scorpion was only at the divine Tao realm. Other than having powerful poison, how could his own strength be able to contend with Longao? Longao knew the poison of the Shura scorpions very well, so he didn't get close to the Shura scorpions at all. He just relied on the reincarnation sword light to kill the Shura scorpions around him. Samsara sword light, sword Chi-Chi shield. Not far away, 100 meters away. Master, at this speed, our Azura violent scorpions will continue to be killed. I'm afraid. Before Xing Kun finished speaking, he had already been interrupted by Xing Kun. He said, Longao is not simple. This time, no matter what, we have to kill him to avoid endless troubles. Even Xing Kun was very afraid of Longao. As the saying went, seeing with one's own eyes was the most real thing. Xing Kun had never believed the various legends about Longao. But now, with so many treasures on Longao's body, it was enough to shock the world. Xing Kun knew that it was very difficult to kill Longao with only the Azura violent scorpions. He gave the order. The surrounding Azura violent scorpions all retreated. In a short while, the Azura violent scorpions had all disappeared. Xing Kuan's figure quickly left. Even Longao couldn't contend with the suppression of the primordial spirit. If they met force with force, they would only be at a disadvantage. The reason why Longao didn't choose to leave with Lu Li was very simple. Even if he lost this battle, he could tell the world that he, Longao, hadn't left the stage. In just 3 moves, Longao was hit continuously. If it wasn't for his strong defense, Longao would have died at this moment.
Go.
Longao summoned Xing Dan and turned to leave quickly. As a corpse slave, Xing Dan wasn't afraid of death at all. Like a moth to a flame, she kept attacking Xing Kuan.
Don't chase.
Just as Xing Kuan was about to chase after Xing Dan, Xing Kuan suddenly said. Then, the 2 Nirvana Realm warriors joined forces and attacked Xing Dan together. Even if Xing Dan had an immortal body as a corpse slave, under the fierce attacks of the 2 Nirvana Realm warriors, Xing Dan's body gradually fell down in just a few minutes. In a situation where there was an absolute difference in strength, even a corpse slave wouldn't be immortal. Looking at the corpse on the ground, Xing Kuan sighed and said, "This is unbelievable." The corpse slave refined by Longao is not only stronger than Xing Dan's original body, but also has an abnormal defense. If it wasn't for the old ancestor, I'm afraid even I wouldn't be able to kill the corpse slave refined by Xing Dan. If he didn't see it with his own eyes, he would find it hard to believe. Under normal circumstances, the difference between comprehending the heavens and earth and becoming one with the heavens was like the difference between heaven and earth. However, after Xing Dan was refined into a corpse slave, not only did her strength become stronger, her defense also became stronger. With a combination of the two, even if Xing Dan wasn't his own strength, Xing Kuan knew clearly that it wouldn't be easy for him to kill Xing Dan. Nodding his head, Xing Kuan was also shocked. Because of this, he was determined to get Longao's method of refining a corpse slave. Again, if he could get the method of refining a corpse slave, it would be a great help to the Azura Palace. From now on, search for Longao's whereabouts secretly. Remember, don't tell anyone about the grudge between us and Longao. Although Xing Kuan didn't know what the old ancestor meant, he still nodded his head and said, "I'll do it right away." Far away, Longao, who was hiding behind the big tree, didn't leave. Instead, he watched as the crowd slowly disappeared from his sight. Longao's face was very serious. If he knew that the Azura Palace had a super expert like Xing Kuan, he wouldn't have touched the Lu Li sect. He would have looked for other sections. However, since it had already happened, he wouldn't back down. He wasn't afraid of the 3 superpowers, let alone the Azura Palace. In Longao's opinion, it didn't matter if he had one more powerful enemy. Longao found Lu Li first and asked straightforwardly, "Elder Lu Li, the 2 sects that don't get along well with the Azura Palace, are they the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect?" Lu Li didn't know what the master wanted, but she still nodded her head. Chapter 16:23. Master, just as you said, the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect are the Azura Palace's mortal enemies. Elder Lu Li, with our strength, I'm afraid it's impossible for us to fight against Xing Kuan and the Azura Palace. Lu Li nodded. Lu Li was very clear about the difference in strength between them and the Azura Palace. It was almost impossible for them to fight against Xing Kuan. What did the master mean by this? Before Lu Li could ask, Longao said, "I want a rope in the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect to fight against the Azura Palace together." Impossible. Without even thinking about it, Lu Li had already said very firmly. Hearing the master's next step, Lu Li was a little dumbfounded. She couldn't understand whether the master was crazy or not. Even if the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect had a grudge against the Azura Palace, under such circumstances, unless the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect had lost their minds, it was impossible for them to attack the Azura Palace. Xing Kuan. If it was in the past, the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame sect would definitely agree. After all, destroying the Azura Palace would only bring benefits to the 2 sections. There was no harm. But now, the situation was completely different. Putting aside the Azura Palace's strength, Xingqian alone was enough to look down on the Sky Martial Continent. Not to mention the Cloud Valley and the Purple Flame Sect, even the 10 great forces wouldn't dare to provoke Xingqian. A Nirvana rebirth warrior wasn't a joke. Cloud Valley. As a second-rate power, if Xingqian was excluded, then the Cloud Valley's strength would be on par with the Azura Palace. The Cloud Valley's Valley Master, Yun Luoshan, was on par with Xingqian. Both of them had reached the realm of one with the heavens. Not only that, Yun Luoshan's younger brother, Yun Feng, was a Nirvana realm warrior who had comprehended the heavens and earth. Longao went straight to the point. He went straight to Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng and said, "I believe the two of you already know who I am." Looking at Longao and Lu Li, both Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng were shocked. They didn't know why the two of them would appear here at this time. The Cloud Valley already knew that the Azura Palace had destroyed the Lu Li sect and that Xingqian was still alive. "Master Long, Elder Lu Li, may I know the purpose of your visit?" It was common knowledge. Lu Li sect had already surrendered to Longao. Although it was very shocking, the facts were in front of him. The two of them could clearly sense that the Longao in front of them was not a Nirvana realm martial artist, but a mere Emperor God martial artist. Lu Li was a genuine Nirvana realm martial artist. A Nirvana realm martial artist submitting to a God Emperor martial artist. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. "Master Yun, the purpose of my visit this time is very simple. There is only one thing. I hope that your Cloud Valley will submit to my dragon sect."
Huh?
Longao's sudden words, whether it was Lu Li or the other two, seemed to be somewhat dumbfounded. Could it be that this person was a lunatic?
Master.
Elder Lu Li, leave this to me. Since Longao had already said so, even if Lu Li had 10,000 worries in his heart, he could only forcefully endure it. Yun Luoshan's face had already become extremely gloomy, as ugly as it could get. Not to mention Longao. Even Lu Li would not dare to be so arrogant in the face of punishment. Unless Xingqian personally came, perhaps they would choose to compromise. However, if Longao chose to submit, where would their dignity go? To be honest, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng actually looked down on Lu Li. As a Nirvana realm martial artist, it was simply a disgrace to submit to an Emperor God martial artist. "Longao, are you provoking us?" "I'm not provoking you.
I'm helping you."
Hearing Longao's words, the two of them laughed. "Helping us? Asking us to submit. Is this helping us?" At the same time, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng released a terrifying murderous aura that did not dissipate for a long time. However, Longao acted as if he did not see it and completely ignored the two of them. "Longao, I'll give you a chance. As long as you get out of Cloud Valley now, I'll let bygones be bygones. How about it? Are you unwilling?" Nonsense. If it wasn't for Yun Luoshan stopping him, Yun Feng would have already attacked. This was because he had seen arrogant people before, but he had never seen such arrogant people. A mere Emperor God martial artist did not even care about Cloud Valley. Cloud Valley had two Nirvana realm martial artists. "Cloud Valley Master, I can guarantee that within 3 days, Cloud Valley will be in great trouble. At that time, Cloud Valley will be in chaos and everyone will die." Just as he finished speaking, before the two of them could finish speaking, Longao had already left with Lu Li. "Big brother, why didn't you let me attack? Are you really afraid? I don't believe that we can't kill these two people with our combined power." Anger. Endless anger. It was an insult to be provoked by Longao in front of everyone. If this matter were to spread, where would their reputation go? Yun Luoshan, on the other hand, was much calmer than Shifeng had expected. Indifferently, he said, "Second brother, Longao is not a simple person. He is capable of resisting 3 superpowers. Moreover, even Xingqian is helpless against him. If we act rashly and fail to kill him, I believe we will be in great trouble." "Big brother, aren't you overestimating Longao?" Regardless of whether it was Yun Luoshan or Yun Feng, the two of them did not care about Lu Li at all. What a joke. No matter what, Longao was only an Emperor God martial artist, and Lu Li was a Nirvana realm martial artist. Under normal circumstances, the person that the two of them should care about was Lu Li, and not Longao. I didn't overestimate this person at all. Second brother, pass down my order. No one is allowed to leave the sect for the next 3 days. Anyone who disobeys will be killed without mercy. It seemed that he still wanted to say something, but the words had already reached his mouth, and he abruptly swallowed them back. Until now, Yunfeng still couldn't figure out why his elder brother was so afraid of Longao. Could it be that he had heard those so-called legends? It was a little too ridiculous. However, the Cloud Valley Master was his big brother after all, not him. Since his elder brother had given the order, as the second brother, he couldn't go against it. Yunfeng immediately turned around and left. When the order was sent out, everyone in the Cloud Valley was shocked.
No one knew why the sect would do this.
Under such circumstances, the sect should have gone all out to fight for the chance to rise in this chaotic world. However, no one dared to say anything because it was an order personally given by the Cloud Valley Master. Not to mention others, even the Cloud Valley Master's younger brother, the second strongest martial artist in the Cloud Valley, did not dare to go against the Cloud Valley Master's order. Just like that, the entire Cloud Valley was sealed and no one was allowed to leave. Chapter 16:24. Leaving the Cloud Valley. Until now, Lu Li still did not know what the Master wanted to do. In 3 days, the Cloud Valley would be in big trouble. It sounded unrealistic. Master, what should we do now? With regards to Lu Li's meaning, Longao knew clearly. Elder Lu Li, spread the word that the Cloud Valley has formed an alliance with us to deal with the Azura Palace. Instantly, Lu Li understood the Master's intention. He wanted to use the Azura Palace to deal with the Cloud Valley and force them to submit. Although it was a little shameless, in this chaotic world, only the winner would be the king and the loser would be the bandit. As for the process, he believed that no one would ask. Lu Li was still a little worried. Master, will the Azura Palace believe this? If the Azura Palace did not believe it, wouldn't it be a waste of time? Longao's face was filled with confidence. He smiled and said, "Trust me." Since things had come to this point, Lu Li did not say anything more. She immediately turned and left, spreading the news that Longao had just told her. 2 hours later, Lu Li had already settled the matter. The news of the Cloud Valley forming an alliance with the Dragon Sect to deal with the Azura Palace had spread across the entire Sky Martial continent. If it was any other time, it would definitely shock the entire continent. Only at this time, no one was willing to pay attention to the grudges between the two sections. Because in this chaotic world, no one knew what would happen next. If they were not careful, they would disappear from the continent forever. Azura Palace. Inside the main hall, Xing Fe hastily entered the main hall. Looking at the old ancestor in front of him, he even forgot to bow. He said impatiently, "Old ancestor, I have just received news that the Cloud Valley has formed an alliance with Longao. They have declared that they will deal with us together." He was not surprised at all. Xing Kun sneered and said, "It's just a small Cloud Valley. We can use this opportunity to destroy it." In Xing Kun's eyes, a small Cloud Valley was nothing. With the Azura Palace and his strength, destroying the Cloud Valley was just a matter of minutes. So, what if the Cloud Valley had 2 Nirvana Realm warriors? "Old ancestor, I will bring my men to destroy the Cloud Valley now." He waved his hand. Xing Kun stopped the punishment and said indifferently, "It will be very difficult for all of you to resist the formation set up by Longao." Ancestor, is Longao really a divine array master? Until now, Xing Fe still couldn't quite believe that Longao was a divine array master. He was so talented in both martial arts and formations. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe that there was such a super genius in the world. What a god-ranked array master meant, punishment was very clear in his heart. Among array masters, god-level array masters were the true pinnacle existences. According to what the old ancestor had said, once Longao set up a divine array master with his current strength, not to mention someone like Xing Dan who had comprehended the heaven and earth. Even a Nirvana realm martial artist would find it difficult to break the array. However, it wouldn't be easy for Longao to kill a Nirvana realm martialist or a Nirvana realm martialist with the help of the array formation. Let's not talk about you. I'm also very curious about how Longao cultivated a god-ranked array master. This kid must die. Otherwise, we will have a lot of trouble in the future. Xing Kuan wasn't afraid of Longao's strength. In his opinion, even if Longao could reach the Nirvana realm in the future, he wouldn't be able to defeat him. The true number one under the heavenly Tao wasn't just for show. The only thing that Xing Kuan was afraid of was Longao's array. A divine-level array master, not to mention one against 10,000. Even one against a few million would be a piece of cake. Killing enemies above his level was even more easy. Chief-elect, you will go with me? Chief-elect. Xing Kuan was overjoyed when he heard that the old ancestor wanted Chief-elect to go with him. Chief-elect's array formation skills were above Longao's, not to mention his strength. Chief-elect was of medium height and had a face full of pimples. His eyes were especially black and bright. Chief-elect was also a god-ranked array master, but his strength was far above Longao's. His cultivation had already broken through the heaven and earth realm. Among array masters of the same level, the more powerful the array master was, the more powerful the array master was. For example, the same array, but Chief-elect and Longao were one level apart in terms of cultivation. Therefore, the power of the array they set up was slightly different. Big brother, I can't kill Longao with my strength. Xing Kuan nodded. How could he not know that if it was anyone else, Chief-elect could easily kill an Emperor realm martialist without using the array formation? However, Longao's situation was completely different. This didn't mean that Longao was strong, but that the treasures he possessed were too heaven-defying. Let's not talk about other things first. Just the mysterious sword in Longao's hand could break through the heaven and earth realm. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe. It was simply unbelievable. Chief-elect, only you can break Longao's array formation. As for Longao, I believe that with you and Punishment Master working together, we can definitely kill him. In that case, big brother, I'll make a trip. Okay. Punishment Master and Chief-elect didn't continue to hesitate. The two of them immediately got up and left the main hall, heading towards Cloud Valley. Previously, at the Colored Glass Peak, Longao couldn't activate the hundreds of arrays he set up for no reason. The reason was because Chief-elect was also a god-ranked array master, and his array formation skills were above Longao's. Otherwise, Chief-elect wouldn't have been able to break the hundreds of arrays without anyone noticing. However, this was also related to Longao's carelessness. Arrays were dead. As long as Longao didn't activate the arrays, it would be too easy for a god-ranked array master to break them. Within the main hall, Xing Kuan was the only one left. What I've lost back then, I'm going to take it back and double this time around. 10 directional cauldrons. Just you wait. Once I succeed at the final step, I'll make all of you pay the price.
Soon.
Ha 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 ha. Laughing maniacally, Xing Kuan's face was bewildered. Cloud Valley, following the departure of Longao and Colored Glass, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng didn't really believe that Longao could really cause trouble for Cloud Valley in just 3 days. However, they had to be careful. After all, it was better to be safe than sorry. Big brother, I told you that Longao was just trying to scare us. Now that 3 days have passed, big brother, I suggest that we cancel the lockdown. Who knows, Longao might have already left. Yun Luoshan was scolding Longao in his heart. It was precisely because of this that Cloud Valley was locked down for 3 days for no reason, causing everyone to be in a state of panic. Not only that, to miss out on this opportunity in such a chaotic world was something extremely unlucky for Cloud Valley.
Yes.
Before Yun Luoshan could even finish his words, an earth-shattering sound came from outside. Chapter 16:25. What's going on? Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng were slightly surprised as they could clearly sense two terrifying auras shrouding the sect. Nirvana Realm Warriors. There were two Nirvana Realm Warriors outside, and the two auras were aggressive and provocative. Who were they? The two of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Because Longao had once said that within 3 days, the Cloud Valley would be in big trouble. Originally, he thought that Longao was just bluffing, but he didn't expect that trouble would really come. There was no hesitation. Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng immediately left the main hall. As soon as they stepped out, they saw the chief-elect and Xing Xing standing in the sky. Azura Palace? Neither Yun Luoshan nor Yun Feng seemed to have expected the punishment, and their faces were filled with shock. Although the Azura Palace and Cloud Valley had a huge grudge against each other, the Azura Palace had no reason to take action under such circumstances. Could it be Longao? Suddenly, the two of them realized that this matter must have something to do with Longao. Borrowing a knife to kill. The two of them cursed in their hearts. Hall Master Xing, why have you suddenly come to my Cloud Valley? Xing Xing sneered. The two of them slowly flew down from the sky. Although they seemed to be moving slowly, they were actually moving very fast. In the blink of an eye, they had arrived before Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng. Valley Master Yun, I heard that the Cloud Valley has formed an alliance with Longao to deal with us. Is this true? I see. Hearing Xing Xing's words, Yun Luoshan had already guessed what Longao wanted to do. How shameless. Borrowing a knife to kill was really ruthless. However, would the two of them fall for it? Yun Luoshan had underestimated the Azura Palace. Master Xing, you really like to joke. How could I form an alliance with Longao to deal with the Azura Palace? Xing Xing wouldn't believe it if it was under normal circumstances. However, the situation was completely different now. The continent was in chaos. Everyone wanted to rise in this chaotic world, including the Azura Palace and the Cloud Valley. Because of this, it was reasonable for the Cloud Valley to form an alliance with Longao to deal with the Azura Palace. Would the punishment choose to believe? It was better to be safe than sorry. What if the Longao really formed an alliance with Cloud Valley? It was better to be safe than sorry. Under such circumstances, the punishment would rather kill 1,000 innocents than let one go. Valley Master Yun, do you think that I will believe you? Looking at the punishment in front of him, Yun Luoshan cried out in his heart, "Oh no!" Master Xing, without giving Yun Luoshan a chance to speak, Xing Fa said impatiently, "Cut the crap. You want me to believe you? Sure. But as long as you hand over Longao and Luli, the grudge between us will be written off." Otherwise, punishment didn't say anything, but the meaning behind his words was very clear. If it was just punishing two Nirvana Realm Warriors, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng would not care about it. Mount Yunluo was the unity of heaven, and Man Cloud Peak was the enlightenment of heaven and earth. There was only one person that both of them were afraid of, and that was the Azura Palace's old ancestor, Xing Kuan. 10,000 years ago, he was known as the strongest person under the heavenly Tao. Provoking Xing Kuan would only lead to destruction. Unless it was absolutely necessary, both of them would never want to start a war with the Azura Palace. Master Xing, to be honest, 3 days ago, the Longao did come to me and asked me to join hands with him to deal with you. However, I rejected him without even thinking about it.
Please believe me.
Cold eyes. Senior Chief-elect, do you believe me? The Chief-elect always had the same expression on his face, an ice-cold look. Without any emotion, the Chief-elect's voice sounded like it came from hell. He said coldly, "I only know my big brother's order. Since we are going to die anyway, it doesn't matter if the Cloud Valley has formed an alliance with the Longao or not." What did he mean? Hearing the Chief-elect's words, not only were Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng dumbfounded, even Xing Fa was surprised. However, Xing Fa was very clear. What the Chief-elect said was right. With the grudge between the Azura Palace and the Cloud Valley, they would have to settle it sooner or later. Even if the Longao and the Cloud Valley didn't form an alliance, Killing the Cloud Valley would only bring benefits to the Azura Palace. Thinking of this, before Yun Luoshan could say anything, Xing Fa said coldly, "Yun Luoshan, you asked for it. You can't blame anyone else. If you want to condemn someone, you can always find a pretext." Yun Luoshan already knew that the Azura Palace wanted his life. They wanted to destroy the Cloud Valley. Even without the Longao, the Azura Palace would still do the same. Since that was the case, there was no point for him to say anything. Was this really the doing of the Longao? The matter had already reached this point, and Yunluo Mountain was still in a dilemma. Whether this matter was done by Longao or not, it could be considered as a weirdo. Just as Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng were about to attack, the chief-elect and Xing Fa retreated. Suddenly, the two figures disappeared without a trace. Ah! Looking at the two figures that disappeared, their expressions changed drastically. They seemed to have guessed something. Yun Feng scolded, "Damn it. Big brother, this is not good. It's an illusion formation." Yun Luoshan nodded. How could he not know that they were trapped in a formation? If he hadn't experienced it himself, he wouldn't have believed that the two of them were trapped in a formation in their base. Was this for real?
Retreat.
Yun Luoshan, it's too late. At this moment, Xing Fa's voice was heard. In the next second, there was no longer any palace around them. There was only a huge black space. It was an illusion formation, a divine-level array master. Looking at the illusion formation around them, even if Yun Luoshan didn't believe it, the truth was right in front of him. The formation that trapped them was indeed a divine-level array master. A divine-level array master could only set it up by a divine-level array master. Big brother, what should we do now? Yun Luo's face was gloomy to the extreme. What did it mean to be a god-level array master? Even with their strength, once they were trapped in a god-level array, it would be a big problem for them to leave safely. What should they do? Yun Luoshan's face was filled with helplessness. He also wanted to know the reason. After thinking for a while, he said, "Let's wait and see. I also want to see how good the chief-elect who dominated the world with his formation skills is." The chief-elect was a peerless figure 10,000 years ago. He didn't have much strength, but he was a divine-level array master. He dominated the world with his formation skills. Ordinary Nirvana realm warriors wouldn't dare to offend him. Even the 10-direction cauldrons didn't dare to offend him. However, they didn't expect that the chief-elect was related to the Azura Palace. Could it be Xing Kuan's doing? Xing Kuan, a chief-elect, the number one under the Heavenly Tao and the number one in formation skills. It wasn't hard to imagine how terrifying the strength of the Azura Palace was. P.S. Tomorrow is May 1st. Xiao Jio's work is almost done. From tomorrow onwards, Xiao Jio will work hard to update the website. I hope everyone will vote for Xiao Jio. Thank you. Chapter 1626. Chief-elect was a god-level array master. At this moment, the array that Chief-elect had set up was a god-level array. The illusory array was only one of them. Longao had also set up the array that Chief-elect had set up. It was the Infinite Tornado Illusory Array. Infinite Tornado Illusory Array. Terrifying tornadoes suddenly swept through the entire dark space. A vortex of airflow enveloped the entire space. The two of them were shocked and did not dare to let their guard down. Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. No wonder he was the number one array master. Chief-elect's array skills were extremely powerful. The two of them were extremely depressed because array masters were so shameless. If they did not fight you head-on, you could only choose to fight the array. There was only one way to force the two of them out, and that was to break the array. As Nirvana realm martial artists, the two of them fought the Infinite Tornado Illusory Array with all their might. The result? As the number one array master, Chief-elect was not just a figurehead. About 10 minutes later, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng were gradually unable to hold on. The two of them quickly dodged the huge tornadoes, but the tornadoes were too dense. One after another, they were continuous. Even if the two of them were not array masters, They knew about the current situation. Once they were sucked into the vortex of airflow, they were afraid that they would be doomed. The situation was critical. What should they do? They were not array masters, and they had encountered the number one array master. The two of them were helpless and had no idea what to do. Just as the two of them were in great danger, Longao's figure suddenly appeared. One had to admit that Longao's level of array formation was also incomparably powerful. Otherwise, how could an ordinary array formation master enter the array formation silently? Chief-elect and Chief-elect did not know about this. If the two of them knew about it, what would they think? Longao, I'll give you a chance now. If you choose to submit to me, I'll help you get out. Otherwise, you can fend for yourselves and I won't interfere. Submit? Hearing Longao's words, the two of them cursed in their hearts. Beat a drowning dog. Previously, Longao had said that they were just cooperating. Now that they were in trouble, their cooperation had changed to submission. Reject? The two of them were not fools. They were very clear that this matter was definitely related to Longao. Otherwise, why would Longao appear here for no reason? Could it really be a coincidence? Even if there were 10,000 unwillingness in their hearts, in the current situation, did the two of them have a choice? Longao, we promise you. He was overjoyed. Being able to make Yunluoshan and Yunfeng compromise and submit to him was undoubtedly a great thing for him. The surrounding air vortexes began to attack wildly. Longao had already guessed that there must be a formation master in the Azura Palace. However, he had never thought that the formation master in charge of the Azura Palace would have such a powerful formation master. He did not dare to hesitate or be careless. With Longao as the center, a huge vortex of air instantly appeared. Before Yunluoshan and Yunfeng could react, they were sucked into the whirlpool. As for whether the whirlpool could withstand the attack of the formation, even Longao was not sure. Take a gamble. Longao was also taking a gamble. As a formation master, especially a divine-level formation master, he could clearly sense that the formation he was in was a divine-level formation. What did this mean? In addition, the opponent was able to break his formation without making a sound. Longao could almost be sure that this mysterious formation master of the Azura Palace was a divine-level formation master.
Not only that,
Longao could also be sure that this divine-level formation master's level was far above his own. Looking at his own whirlpool blocking the attacks of the surrounding tornadoes, Longao finally let out a sigh of relief. He couldn't wait any longer and said, "Follow me." Just like this, Longao used his formation master's formation skills to bring the two of them away without making a sound. They came without making a sound and left without making a sound. From the beginning to the end, neither the chief-elect nor the punishment master knew that Longao had come in and out. Otherwise, who knew what they would think, especially the chief-elect? Someone was able to enter his own formation master's formation. This was simply unbelievable. Lapis Lazuli Peak. The most dangerous place was also the safest place. Even if the Azura Palace was beaten to death, they would never expect Longao to return to the Lapis Lazuli Peak. Master. Looking at the young man in front of them, Yunluoshan and Yunfeng were extremely depressed. This time, they had failed miserably. If they knew this would happen, they would have chosen to cooperate with Longao instead of submitting to him. Not only that, they had also lost the entire Cloud Valley, a second-rate force. In just half an hour, tens of thousands of people had fallen. If it was in the past, if someone told them this, even if they were beaten to death, they wouldn't believe it. Both of you, in the future, you will be the same as Elder Lapis Lazuli. Both of you will be elders of the Dragon Sect. Seeing the displeasure on their faces, how could Longao not know what the two of them were thinking? He smiled and said, "The two of you, don't think that choosing to submit to my dragon sect is a disgrace to you. I can clearly tell you that in the future, you will rejoice over the choice you made today." Really? Both of them didn't believe it at all. However, since it had already happened, they knew that they had no other choice. Both of you, This time, the people who are going after you are from the Azura Palace. I'm curious, since when did the Azura Palace have another formation master? Longao had to be clear about this, because the Azura Palace already had a super expert like Xing Kuan. If they had another divine-level formation master, then the Azura Palace's strength would reach a whole new level. A mid-level strength was nothing. Longao knew very well that with the Azura Palace's current strength, although they couldn't compete with the 10-direction cauldron, a battle between strong warriors was always earth-shattering. Sometimes, it didn't matter how many people there were. For example, a divine-level formation master could fight against 5 enemies at the same time. For example, the Azura Palace's divine-level formation master and his own formation master could defeat Nirvana realm warriors. Master, to tell you the truth, we just found out that the chief-elect of the Azura Palace is still alive. He and Xing Kuan have successfully reincarnated. Chief-elect?
Who was that?
Longao knew very well that he didn't know this chief-elect. He had never even heard of him. Could it be that this chief-elect was the same as Xing Kuan, a super expert from 10,000 years ago? Just as he expected. I believe that Master has already guessed that this chief-elect was an expert from the same era as Xing Kuan. However, the chief-elect was known as the best in formation master. We didn't expect them to be together. Chapter 16:27. Number 1 in formations? As soon as Longao entered the formation, he could feel the power of the formation. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was the number 1 in formations. Longao was also surprised. As the number 1 formation master, the chief-elect had chosen to help the Azura Palace. How is the chief-elect's strength? 10,000 years ago, he had already reached the level of comprehending heaven and earth. However, according to the legends, the chief-elect was limited by the formation. It is almost impossible for him to break through the realm of one with the heavens, comprehending heaven and earth. Even so, Longao knew clearly that the chief-elect's mastery of formations was far above his own. This was going to be troublesome. Master, forgive me for being blunt. Please speak. Longao was a little unhappy. Since Yunluotian and Yunfeng had already chosen to submit, they still had other plans. Sect Master, although the Azura Palace is only a second-rate power, with Xing Kuan and Chief-elect in charge, no one would dare to provoke the Azura Palace even if they were the strongest. This was the truth. However, in Longao's ears, it sounded different. In Longao's opinion, the two of them did not believe him at all. They thought that if he went against the Azura Palace head-on, it would be like an egg hitting a rock. They did not care at all. Longao did not blame them either. No matter who it was, they would have the same thoughts as the two of them. No matter what, the Azura Palace's strength was there for all to see. Not to mention, they now had a chief-elect who was known as the number 1 formation master. Yunluotian, I know you are not convinced. Now, I will give you another choice. Leave or stay. Looking at Longao, the two of them realized that Longao did not seem to be lying. Could it be that he was really asking them to leave? This did not make sense. The two of them looked at each other. Big brother. Waving his hand, Yunluotian suddenly smiled and said, although I don't think highly of you, you can easily enter the formation set up by the chief-elect and fight against 3 superpowers. I will take this gamble.
I hope you will not disappoint me.
He was not surprised at all. Longao seemed to have guessed that if Yunluotian and Yunfeng chose to leave, they would not choose to submit. Towards the two people, Longao could still be considered to be able to understand. The lapis lazuli peak became exceptionally quiet. None of the 4 said anything. Stars dotted the night sky. A gentle breeze blew by. Seeing that Longao had not said anything, the 3 of them did not say anything either. No matter how great the grudges were in the past, since they had chosen to follow Longao, the grudges between Yunluotian and Lu Li would be written off.
Nothing needed to be said.
The next morning. Next target, Purple Flame Sect. Lu Li was not surprised at all, because Longao had already said that they would deal with the Purple Ember Sect and Cloud Valley first before dealing with the Azura Palace. As for Yun Luoshan and Yun Luoshan, their faces were filled with shock. The Purple Ember Sect's strength was on par with the Cloud Valley. The master of the Purple Ember Sect, Zichuan, was also a Nirvana realm warrior who had reached the realm of one with the heavens. As for the Purple Ember Sect, there was also an elder who had reached the realm of one with the heavens. In other words, the Purple Ember Sect also had two Nirvana realm warriors. Yun Luoshan seemed to want to say something, but the words were already at the tip of his tongue. In the end, he swallowed them back. The battle between Longao and the Azura Palace was not noticed by anyone, including the Lapis Lazuli sect and the Cloud Valley. Because it was a time of chaos, they could not even take care of themselves. The Cloud Valley was destroyed by the Azura Palace, and the Purple Ember Sect was also shocked. Among the second-rate powers, the Azura Palace could be ranked first. As for the Purple Ember Sect and the Cloud Valley, they could definitely be ranked in the top 5. Zichuan and Zilin knew clearly that if the Azura Palace could destroy the Cloud Valley, they could also destroy the Purple Ember Sect. After all, not only the Cloud Valley, even the Purple Ember Sect was not on good terms with the Azura Palace. Purple Ember Sect. Zichuan and Zilin's faces were not looking good. Originally, they thought that in this chaotic world, with the Purple Ember Sect's strength, they would be able to rise up. Even if they couldn't reach the top of the 10 directions, they could at least reach the top of the second-rate powers. But the result? Since the Azura Palace could destroy the Cloud Valley, there was no doubt that Xing Kuan would not let this matter go. At that time, it would not be impossible for him to destroy the Purple Ember Sect, or even the other second-rate powers. Zichuan sighed deeply. Zichuan said helplessly, "The Azura Palace has destroyed the Cloud Valley. I believe that their next target will be us." If I'm not mistaken, not only does Xing Kuan want to rise up, he also wants to get his hands on the top of the 10 directions. Hearing the master's words, Zilin was shocked. He thought that he had heard it wrong. "Master, the top of the 10 directions is right there. Even if it's Xing Kuan, it's not possible for him to get his hands on it." What a joke. 10,000 years ago, the top of the 10 directions worked together to destroy Xing Kuan. After 10,000 years of reincarnation, how could Xing Kuan find trouble for himself? Unless his brain was flooded with water, or his head was kicked by a donkey. How could Zichuan not know what the first elder meant? He didn't want to believe it either. However, the truth was right before his eyes. "First elder, we must be careful. According to my estimation, the Azura Palace will launch a large-scale attack in less than 3 days. At that time, the Purple Ember Sect will follow in the footsteps of the Cloud Valley and be destroyed." Before Zichuan could finish his words, a voice suddenly came from outside and interrupted him. "Who is it?" Hearing the voice, both Zichuan and Zilin were shocked. The two of them couldn't figure out who was able to sneak in without making a sound. One must know that even among the second-rate powers, the Purple Ember Sect was one of the top 5 superpowers. Inside the sect, there were layers of defense. It was as difficult as ascending the heavens to get here, unless it was a Nirvana realm warrior. Could it be that the other party was a Nirvana realm warrior? When they thought of this, their faces became even more solemn. Both of them had guessed that the other party was most likely Xing Kuan of the Azura Palace. If that was the case, their sect would be doomed this time. There was no doubt that they would die. Thinking of this, the two of them seemed to be in despair. However, at this moment, the door of the palace was pushed open. 4 people walked in. Zichuan and Zilin knew 3 of them. They weren't Xing Kuan, nor were they Xing Kuan. They were Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng from the Cloud Valley, and Lu Li from the Colored Glass sect. As for the young man beside the 3 of them, the 2 of them were curious. They didn't know who he was, because the 3 of them were Nirvana realm warriors. Only this young man was a god emperor. However, judging from the expressions on their faces, they seemed to respect this young man. If that was the case, who was he? After thinking for a while, Zichuan suddenly thought of a person. Could this be him? "Master Zichuan, long time no see. How have you been?" Chapter 1628. Valley Master Yun, may I know the reason for your sudden visits? The Purple Ember Sect and Cloud Valley were at odds with each other. If it wasn't for the Azura Palace, the two sects would have started a war long ago. Zichuan was curious as to why the four of them suddenly came to the sect. 3 Nirvana Realm Warriors and 1 God Emperor. Such terrifying strength was enough to destroy the Purple Ember Sect. A smile appeared. Yun Luoshan smiled and said, Brother Zichuan, I am no longer the Valley Master of Cloud Valley. From today onwards, there will be no more Cloud Valley in this world.
Ah?
Zichuan and Zilin looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. Even if the Cloud Valley was destroyed by the Azura Palace, as long as the 2 Nirvana Realm Warriors were still around, the Cloud Valley could definitely make a comeback. After all, the Nirvana Realm Warriors were still there. Before the two of them could speak. I am now the Dragon Sect's Elder. Dragon Sect? Dragon Sect's Elder? The two of them were a little dumbfounded. They never thought that Yun Luoshan would choose to submit to Longao. Although they had guessed it, they still couldn't figure it out. Without a doubt. Since Lu Li had followed them here, she must have also chosen to submit to Longao. What exactly happened? This world was a little too crazy. 3 Nirvana Realm Warriors chose to submit to Longao at the same time. Was this a coincidence? Definitely not. Zichuan knew better than anyone else about their personalities and arrogance. Longao, let's get straight to the point. What are you here for? A smile appeared on Zichuan's face. Longao didn't hide anything and said directly, Zichuan, my purpose is simple. As long as the Purple Ember Sect is willing to submit to the Dragon Sect, I can guarantee it.
Submit?
Guarantee? The two of them had already guessed the purpose of Longao's visit. They were furious to the extreme. This was too much. Even if they knew that the other party had 3 Nirvana Realm Warriors and that they would be in a passive position once the battle started, how could they choose to submit? Longao, no matter what happens, we will not submit. Let me give you a piece of advice. You better give up. As the great elder of the Purple Ember Sect, Zilin's words represented Zichuan's opinion. After all, Zichuan's silence. He wasn't surprised. It would be strange if the Purple Ember Sect was willing to submit to him. However, this time, Longao's victory. If he wanted to rise in this chaotic world, he needed at least 5 Nirvana Realm Warriors. This was something he had carefully calculated. If the 5 Abyss Masters of the Massacre Abyss were willing to follow him, there would be no need to go through so much trouble. Zichuan, I believe that you already know that Xingkuan is still alive. If my guess is correct, the Azura Highness' next target is the Purple Ember Sect. I wonder, how confident are you in defeating the Azura Palace? He didn't have the slightest confidence. Putting aside the strength of the Azura Palace, Xingkuan alone was enough to wipe out the entire Purple Flame sect. His face was gloomy. It would be a lie if he said he wasn't afraid. After all, the Purple Ember sect was built by them. How could they be willing to be destroyed by the Azura Palace? He snorted coldly. Zichuan's face was filled with displeasure as he coldly said, Longao, you don't have to worry about this. Even if we are destroyed by Xingkuan, we will definitely not choose to submit to you. Let me give you a piece of advice. You better give up on this idea. He looked deeply at the two in front of him. Longao had an intuition that no matter what method he came up with, unless he killed the two of them directly, the two of them would never choose to submit to him. All along, Longao had always believed in his own feelings. He knew that Zichuan and Zilin were different from Yun Luoshan and the others. Since that was the case, was there a need for him to persist? If that's the case, I won't persist. However, Zichuan, the winner is king and the loser is a bandit. One of us must fall. Tomorrow, we'll rely on our own abilities. I hope the Purple Ember sect won't disappoint me. After saying that, he left. Lu Li and Yun Luoshan were dumbfounded. The three of them never thought that their master would leave just like that. He didn't even try to fight for it. This didn't seem like Longao's character at all. Was the master going to persist or give up and deal with the Purple Ember sect? The three of them didn't stay either. However, if the Purple Ember sect wanted to fight against them, it would be like hitting a rock with an egg. Only Zichuan and Zilin were left in the hall. Their faces didn't look too good. Master, Longao is not a simple person. Not only can he fight against the three super forces, he can even fight against Xing Kuan. If he insists on dealing with us, we will be in big trouble. Zichuan nodded. How could he not know what the Great Elder meant? After thinking for a while, Zichuan said, "We can't be sure if the Azura Palace will deal with us. However, rather than submitting to Longao, we might as well submit to the Azura Palace. This way, we might be able to go further in the future." Submit to the Azura Palace? Hearing the master's decision, Zilin was a little dumbfounded. He had never thought about which side he would submit to. His heart was filled with unwillingness. However, Zilin knew clearly that since the master had made his decision, it would be hard for him to change it. In a small town not far from the Purple Ember Peak, the four of them bought a mansion, which could be considered as the temporary headquarters of Longao's branch. Since the people of the Dragon Sect, which were the people of the Cloud Valley and the Luli Sect, had all fallen, although Lu Li and Yun Luoshan didn't say anything, the three of them felt terrible in their hearts. Master, how should we deal with the Purple Ember Sect now? The three of them were sure that Longao had given up on subduing the Purple Ember Sect and decided to destroy it instead. The three of them didn't have any objections to this decision. If they didn't remove the roots, there would be endless troubles in the future. Moreover, at this moment, the greatest mercy to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. Zichuan is not a concern. If I'm not mistaken, the Purple Ember Sect no longer exists. No longer exists? What did the master mean by that? The three of them were puzzled. They hadn't made a move yet, so they couldn't figure out what would happen to the Purple Ember Sect. Could it be that the Azura Palace was going to deal with the Purple Ember Sect? Gentlemen, Zichuan should have already submitted to the Azura Palace. At this rate, I believe that it won't be long before the Azura Palace starts to rise up and start to pursue the 10-direction cauldron. Originally, the 10-direction cauldron was peaceful and could even survive the 3 years of turmoil. However, with the Azura Palace's participation, the turmoil will truly begin. Chapter 16:29. Would Zichuan really lead the Purple Flame Sect to submit to the Azura Palace? Lu Li and the other two didn't seem to believe it. In the end, just as Longao had guessed, Zichuan led the Purple Flame Sect to submit to the Azura Palace. Xing Tong was extremely excited. The Azura Palace didn't care about the strength of the Purple Flame Sect. Xing Tong only cared about the 2 Nirvana Realm Warriors. Because of the chaos in the continent, the only ones who could change the situation of the continent were the Nirvana Realm Warriors. Not only that, Longao's guess was completely correct. With the addition of 2 Nirvana Realm Warriors, the Azura Palace now had a total of 5 Nirvana Realm Warriors. Furthermore, there was also a God-ranked Array Master. Such a terrifying strength. Even if it wasn't as strong as the tripod of 10 directions, Xing Kuan couldn't wait any longer. Azura Palace. Inside the palace. Old ancestor, are we not going to deal with Longao? Xing Kuan shook his head and said with a cold smile, "A small Longao, I believe he won't be able to cause too much trouble. Our priority now is to rise quickly." Otherwise, at this point, Xing Kuan didn't continue speaking. The strongest person under the heavenly Tao, his strength wasn't afraid of anyone, unless an expert who had reached the peak of the martial Tao personally came. However, Xing Kuan had a deep fear. 10,000 years ago, he led the Azura Berserk Scorpion and swept across the continent. He thought he could dominate the continent by himself. But what was the result? He was killed by 10 people. If it wasn't for the fact that he managed to save a trace of his primordial spirit and enter the path of reincarnation, he would have vanished into thin air. Xing Kuan kept telling himself that he wouldn't have a second chance.
Just like that.
Under Xing Kuan's leadership, the Azura Palace officially began to rise. No one in the Sky Martial Continent had expected this result. Even if they guessed that Xing Kun wouldn't let it go, they didn't expect him to be so anxious. The best result for the tripod of 10 directions was that the chaos wouldn't affect the situation of the continent and the tripod of 10 directions. Such a result was obviously unrealistic. Following the rise of the Azura Palace, the grudges between the tripod of 10 directions exploded like a fuse. That was it. The Long family, the Pill Guild, the Martial Artists Alliance, the Myriad Beast Sect, the Heaven and Earth Sect, the Five Element Sect, the Wanzhong School, the Sword Sect, the Purple Thunder Sect, and the Black Heaven Sect were all involved in the war. They were the top existences in the Sky Martial continent. Once the tripod of 10 directions started fighting, it would be the true beginning of chaos. The final outcome could already be seen. It could only be described with 8 words. Blood flowed like a river and corpses littered the field. In the courtyard. Master, it's just as you've guessed. With the rise of the Azura Palace, the 10 Directions tripod has been drawn into the war. Hearing Lu Li's report, Longao was quite surprised. Everything was going as expected. Liu Li, do you have the confidence to pursue the omnidirectional tripod with me? If it was in the past, Lu Li would definitely say no. After all, the 10-directional cauldron and the Azura Palace's strength were obvious. Chasing after the 10-directional cauldron would only lead to death. But now, the situation was completely different. Master, I'll follow you in life and death. It was just 4 simple words, but in Longao's heart, it was enough. Not long after, Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng entered the courtyard one after the other. The 2 of them were also surprised because everything was predicted by the master. Looking at the confident master, the 3 of them unknowingly chose to slowly believe in Longao. It was a subtle influence. Master, we've already followed your instructions. Within a day, we've subdued hundreds of 4th-rate forces and 33rd-rate forces. Lu Li seemed to be very curious, but she still asked, Master, forgive me for being blunt. Even if we want to pursue the 10-directional cauldron, relying on the 3rd-rate and 4th-rate forces seems like hitting a rock with an egg. I understand. Before the 3 of them could speak, Longao continued. This matter. Before Longao could finish his words, a terrifying airflow suddenly enveloped the world. Feeling this airflow, the 3 of them were shocked. Nirvana Rebirth. The 3 of them had never imagined that a Nirvana Rebirth cultivator would suddenly descend. No matter what, the number of people in the Tianwu continent who could reach this realm could be counted on one hand. It definitely wasn't Xing Kun. So, who could it be? Don't be impatient. Seeing the old man suddenly descend, Longao was very surprised, but he still said, Senior Lu Yi, may I know why you suddenly descended this time? Could it be that something had happened to Aoshue? Longao was very clear that if there wasn't something important, Lu Yi wouldn't casually appear. After all, Lu Yi was the patriarch of the Phoenix race. He was even stronger than the Myriad Beast ancestor. As for whether the strongest person under the Heavenly Tao was Xing Kun or Lu Yi, it was unknown, unless the 2 of them truly fought. Nodding, Lu Yi's expression was very grave. He said, Something has happened to Aoshue. Come with me. Longao was shocked in his heart. He immediately turned around and looked at the 3 people in front of him. He could not wait any longer and said, During the time that I am away, no matter what happens, all of you must not act recklessly. Yes, Master. Just as the 3 of them finished speaking, they discovered that the sect master and Lu Yi had already disappeared without a trace. The 3 of them looked at each other and saw a trace of shock in each other's eyes. This was because the 3 of them had already sensed that the aura on Lu Yi's body came from the Phoenix clan. Without a doubt, the elder who had suddenly descended was the Phoenix clan's current patriarch, Lu Yi. He was also a Nirvana Rebirth expert. I really didn't expect that the master would actually know Lu Yi. It seems their relationship isn't ordinary. Let's not speculate too much about the master's matter. The most important thing now is to gather as much information as possible. When the master returns, we will take action. The 2 of them became stern when they heard Lu Li's words. The three of them knew very well that if they won, their names would be recorded in the annals of history. If they lost, they would be consigned to eternal damnation. As a result, they could only win this battle, not lose. In the void of the 9 heavens, thousands of miles of clouds, the two of them flew in the air. Their speed was so fast that it was as if they were struck by lightning. They couldn't even see their shadows. One could imagine how fast the two of them were. Senior Lu Yi, I want to know what happened to Aoshua. Longao was extremely worried. He originally thought that nothing would happen to Aoshua in the Phoenix race. No matter what, the strength of the Phoenix race was there. Even the Dragon race wouldn't dare to casually provoke them. Longao, let me tell you something first. Aoshua is pregnant. She has been pregnant for 2 whole years, but she still hasn't given birth. Chapter 1630. Aoshua is pregnant? Upon hearing this news, Longao was overjoyed. He had never imagined that he would become a father. However, after hearing Lu Ye's last sentence, Longao's surprise instantly stopped. Instead, it was somewhat dignified. Because she was pregnant for 2 years and did not give birth, anyone would know that something was definitely wrong. Nothing must happen to Aoshua. What's going on? Lu Yi was well aware of the relationship between Longao and Aoshua. With a serious expression, she said, I don't know what's going on either. We've tried everything, but we still can't find the reason. This was the truth. The entire Phoenix clan had tried everything, but they still couldn't find out what had happened to Aoshua. Aoshua had the innate Phoenix constitution. She was the hope of the Phoenix clan. Even Lu Yi didn't know what was going on and couldn't find the reason. Longao's expression darkened again. It seemed that Aoshua's situation was troublesome. Otherwise, Lu Yi wouldn't have come all the way here to find him. Just 3 days ago, Aoshua suddenly fell into a coma. Longao didn't say anything. His expression was extremely gloomy. Ever since Aoshua became pregnant, her cultivation improved by leaps and bounds. She has already broken through to the Nirvana realm. She waved her hand. Longao's heart was in a mess. He didn't want to continue listening. The two of them sped up again. Side by side, they turned into 2 black dots and disappeared into the horizon. Phoenix Clan. They landed in Phoenix Valley. Birds chirped and flowers bloomed all around. What a paradise. The news of Aoshua falling into a coma didn't spread. Other than Lu Yi and Aoshua's mother, only a few elders knew. Longao and Lu Yi successfully returned to the Phoenix clan. In the cave, Longao, who had just stepped into the cave, saw Aoshua lying on the lotus. After not seeing her for so many years, even Longao's body began to tremble. Inside the cave, apart from Lu Ying and Lu Yi, all 13 elders of the Phoenix clan were present. Without a doubt, all 13 elders were Nirvana realm cultivators. Among them, Grand Elder Lu Bo's cultivation had even reached the Nirvana realm.
What kind of concept was that?
The Divine Beast clan was one of the 3 supreme clans. Following the fall of Long Tian and the primordial divine dragon, all the Nirvana realm powerhouses of the dragon clan had been wiped out. Currently, there were about 10 of them. That was indeed the case. Among the 3 great supreme Divine Beast clans, the Qilin clan and the Phoenix clan's strength far surpassed that of the Dragon clan. Are you Longao? Nodding, Longao said, That's right. I'm Aoshua's mother. He was startled. Looking at the woman in front of him, Longao found that she looked 70% similar to Aoshua. Without any doubt, he bowed respectfully and said, Auntie, what's going on with Aoshua? Lu Ying seemed to be very satisfied with her son-in-law. She didn't hide anything and told him everything that had happened. Fainted without knowing anything? Coming in front of Aoshua, Longao tried to release his spiritual power and slowly entered Aoshua's body. Longao did not say a single word for an entire hour after he had carefully checked everything once more. Everyone around looked at each other, not knowing what Longao was doing. Patriarch, you insist on finding this person. In my opinion, it's unnecessary. The one who spoke was the Grand Elder of the Phoenix clan. He was also the second strongest person in the Phoenix clan, second only to Lu Yi. All along, Lu Bo didn't think highly of Longao. He thought that Longao's achievements today were all supported by treasures. His own strength was not worth mentioning at all. Grand Elder, I believe I don't need to say more about Aoshua's importance. You should know. I'm not willing to give up on any method that can save Aoshua. What do you think? Speechless, Lu Bo glared fiercely at the young man standing beside Aoshua and didn't continue speaking. In the dragon's seal space, looking nervously at Xiling and Long Fu, Longao had just checked and found nothing. The only people he could rely on were Long Fu and Xiling. An hour later, Long Fu and Xiling let out a long sigh of relief. Both of them saw a trace of seriousness in each other's eyes. Long Fu said helplessly, "Miss Xiling, please speak." Looking at the expressions on their faces, Longao's heart thumped. Could it be that Aoshua's situation was very troublesome? Longao, Aoshua's situation is a bit troublesome. What's going on? He couldn't wait. Longao was extremely depressed. His 3 confidants were all in a coma. Fortunately, Yu Yin woke up successfully. However, Aoshua and Bai Ling were still in a coma. Bai Ling hadn't woken up yet, and Aoshua was in trouble. Longao, I've already examined her just now. According to my guess, the reason why Aoshua fell into a coma was not because of herself. Other than the problem, the most important problem was the child in Aoshua's stomach.
Child?
What did he mean? Without waiting for Longao to speak, Xiling continued, the child in Aoshua's stomach is a bit special. As for why, I don't know. However, I can clearly sense that the child in Aoshua's stomach has the innate starry sky constitution. It needs to absorb too much energy. Aoshua's own energy isn't enough to support the child. That's why Aoshua is in a coma.
Ah.
Innate starry sky constitution? Hearing Xiling's words, Longao was shocked. According to Xiling, didn't that mean that Aoshua's child had already started to cultivate in her mother's womb? Was this true? Even though he heard it with his own ears, Longao still couldn't believe it. This was a little unbelievable. This had never happened before. What kind of freak was his child? As if he could guess Longao's shock, even Long Fu and Xiling were a little shocked. They didn't know whether this was a good thing or a bad thing. Xiling, what should I do now? After a deep sigh, Xiling said helplessly, Longao, if you want Aoshua to wake up and this kind of thing won't happen again, and if the child is born smoothly, you have to prepare a huge amount of energy for Aoshua to absorb. Be specific. What kind of energy does Aoshua need? There were many types of energy. Longao didn't know what kind of energy Aoshua needed. As for how much energy Aoshua needed, it wasn't a problem. As long as the mother and child were fine, it was fine. Even if it meant climbing a mountain of swords or diving into a sea of fire, it wouldn't matter. Xiling was actually very unhappy. He didn't know if it was because of himself or because of Bai Ling. However, he knew Longao's personality very well. He was also a man who was loyal to one woman. Once Longao set his mind on a woman, he wouldn't even bat an eyelid even if it meant losing his life. This was Longao. P.S. Yesterday and today, I had fun with my wife for 2 days. I'll update another chapter later. That's all for today. Tomorrow, Little 9 will have a little outburst. I'll work hard to update this month. Everyone, please forgive me. I spent some time with my family on Labor Day. Chapter 1631. Power, Soul, Primordial Spirit, they can all be devoured. He heaved a sigh of relief. According to what Xiling had said, Aoshua was basically fine as long as she devoured enough power. Opening his eyes, Longao looked at Lu Yi and said, Senior Lu Yi, Aoshua is fine for the time being. I need a lot of power. Where can I get it? What do you mean? Longao did not tell the truth to everyone because it was too shocking. He only said, Aoshua's child is a little strange, causing Aoshua to fall into a coma. As long as Aoshua devours enough power, she can wake up. Hearing this, Lu Yi finally heaved a sigh of relief. However, at this moment, Lu Bo snorted coldly and said unhappily, Longao, even our Phoenix clan is helpless. Do you think you can do it? His face was full of contempt and mockery. It was not only Lu Bo, but about half of the elders among the other 12 had the same expression on their faces. Everyone was obviously hostile to Longao, but because Lu Yi was present, they did not act out. Seeing this situation, Longao was not surprised at all because he had already guessed that there would definitely be people in the Phoenix clan who did not like him. If things had gone smoothly, he would not have been separated from Aoshua for so many years. However, since he was already here, he had to take Aoshua away no matter what. Longao had already thought about it. Whether it was Yuin or Aoshua, it was safest for them to stay in the Dragon Valley. You are? Longao. This is the great elder of the Phoenix clan. Lu Yi was very worried because Lu Bo's grandson liked Aoshua very much. For the sake of his grandson, Lu Bo did not think highly of Longao. If there was a slight chance, Lu Bo believed that Lu Bo would not let go of Longao and let his grandson and Aoshua become a couple. In Lu Ye's heart, of course, he would like his granddaughter to be with Longao. This was because he knew very well that Longao was able to rise in such a short period of time and contend against the 3 superpowers alone. Longao did not belong to any sect and did not have the best resources, but he was still able to come this far. This was already unprecedented. Longao, let's go. Nodding, Longao left the cave with the others. As for Lu Ying, she stayed behind to take care of Aoshua. Lu Bo, who walked at the back, looked coldly at Longao, who had already left the cave, and said to himself, since you walked into the trap this time, don't even think about leaving. In the Phoenix main hall, Lu Yi and the 13 elders were all present. Not only that, among the younger generation, Lu Bo's grandson Lu Ri and the second elder's grandson Lu Wuheng were also present. Within the Phoenix clan, the 2 of them were the most talented and powerful. Of course, they were qualified to enter the Phoenix main hall. In the Phoenix clan, as long as the clansmen could break through to the supreme divine realm, they could transform into humans and speak the human language. There's killing intent. Longao was very depressed because he could clearly sense that the 2 young men who had just stepped into the main hall were filled with hostility towards him. It was as if they had a vendetta against him for killing their father. However, one must know that he had just entered the Phoenix clan and did not recognize anyone. Longao, let me introduce you. This is Lu Wuheng and Lu Ri. Their talent and strength are #1 in the Phoenix clan. Does it have anything to do with me? Seeing that Longao did not speak, Lu Yi seemed to have something that was hard to say. However, in the end, he still said, Longao, since you have already come to the Phoenix clan, there are some things that I have to make clear to you. Regarding the relationship between you and Aoshua, there are many people in the clan who do not agree and have even raised objections. Longao was not surprised at all. However, he still asked, so what? Longao, you are a bit too arrogant. Lu Bo finally could not bear it anymore. He looked at the young man in front of him coldly and said, many of us are against it. Moreover, Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng both like Aoshua very much. However, we will not bully you. We can give you a chance. What chance? Longao did not get angry. No matter what, the Phoenix clan was still Aoshua's home. Moreover, under such circumstances, he did not want to fall out with the Phoenix clan. Whether it was for the clan or himself, it was not a good thing. Longao, as long as you can defeat these 2 and the other pursuers of Aoshua and successfully leave the life and death secret realm, we will not stop you and Aoshua from now on. How about it? Life and death secret realm? As for Lu Wuheng and Lu Ri, Longao did not care about them at all. He had already sensed their true strength. They were only peak god emperor. Among the warriors at the same level, Longao had full confidence. Even if he could not kill them instantly, killing them would be more than enough. Hearing Lu Bo's words, Lu Yi was shocked. His face darkened slightly as he said, Head Elder, you and I have already agreed that Longao only needs to defeat everyone. Since when is there a life and death secret realm? Lu Bo smiled and said, Clan leader, you and I both know what Aoshua means. If we let Longao get Aoshua so easily, many people in the clan will not be convinced. I hope clan leader can accept my suggestion. I hope clan leader can accept the head elder's suggestion. A total of 6 elders said in unison. Lu Yi might be able to refute if it was only the head elder, but if it was a decision made by more than half of the elders, even if he was the clan leader, he had no right to refuse. This was the rule of the Phoenix clan. No matter what happened, as long as more than half of the elders agreed, it would be passed immediately. Longao, are you willing to accept? I am willing. Longao did not hesitate at all. He did not even think about it because he knew that if he refused, he would be looked down upon by everyone. At that time, even if he could take Aoshua by force, was that something he wanted to see? He wanted to let everyone in the world, including the entire Phoenix clan, know that Aoshua was his woman. He wanted to take Aoshua openly. In that case, after one day, all of you will enter the life and death secret realm. Remember, if you can't handle it, just crush the life and death crystal ball. Then I will send you out. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Bo left with everyone. The last one to leave was Lu Ri. He suddenly turned around and sneered, Longao, I don't care how powerful you are. I just want to tell you that this is the territory of the Phoenix clan, and Aoshua is mine. I hope you can back off. Otherwise, I will not let you leave the life and death secret realm. After speaking, Lu Ri did not stay any longer and left the palace immediately. Only Longao and Lu Yi were left in the palace. Right then, Lu Yi let out a deep sigh and said helplessly, Longao, you shouldn't have agreed. Life and death secret realm, even I can't protect you. The head elder is in charge of the life and death secret realm. Even I don't have the right to interfere. Senior, what is this life and death secret realm? Longao knew what Lu Yi was worried about. It seemed that this life and death secret realm was full of dangers. Otherwise, Lu Yi would not be like this. The life and death secret realm is the place where the great ancestor did his closed-door training. However, the great ancestor refined the life and death secret realm into a life and death battlefield. Countless powerful warriors have died inside the life and death secret realm. Apart from the people of the clan, once an outsider enters, they will die without a doubt. Not only that, the head elder can also launch attacks inside the life and death secret realm. Lu Yi did not continue, because he believed that Longao already knew about the dangers inside. After all, Longao entering the life and death secret realm this time would be very dangerous. Longao did not seem to be worried at all. He said, Senior, I would like to ask, how many people will enter the life and death secret realm this time? Don't worry, I will suppress the head elder. Nirvana realm warriors will not enter the life and death secret realm. As for how many people Lu Ri will bring, it is not something I can know. I hope you can understand. Thank you, Senior. Longao could feel that this Phoenix clan leader in front of him, who was also Aoshua's grandfather, was obviously siding with him. Otherwise, he would not have had this opportunity. No matter what, Lu Bo's status was there. As the head elder of the Phoenix clan, Longao believed that Lu Bo's words carried a lot of weight in the Phoenix clan. Longao, I have already arranged a place for you to stay.
Have a good rest. Thank you.
Longao turned around and left, following the servant of the Phoenix clan. Lu Yi, what do you think of this kid? Not long after Longao left, a middle-aged man suddenly appeared in the hall. The middle-aged man was none other than the immemorial Qilin of the Qilin clan, a super-existence on par with the immemorial Divine Dragon. The three supreme clans, Immemorial Qilin, Immemorial Divine Dragon, and Immemorial Phoenix, dominated the world of divine beasts at the same time. However, when the Immemorial Phoenix fell for some reason, it poured all its power into Lu Yi. In addition to Lu Ye's talent, in just 10,000 years, Lu Ye's strength had grown to such a level that it was even above the immemorial Qilin. Apart from Xing Kuan, Lu Yi could be said to be the real number one under the heavenly law. Before Lu Yi and Xing Kuan's real battle, no one would know who was stronger and who was the real number one under the heavenly law. This kid's talent is extraordinary. If there are no accidents, he will have no problem reaching the Nirvana realm within a year. Within 3 years, it is not impossible for him to reach our level. However, whether he can break through the bottleneck of Nirvana realm and reach the starry sky realm that no one has been able to reach in 10,000 years is unknown. Starry sky realm. With a deep sigh, the immemorial Qilin said helplessly, "Back then, the heavenly law killed all the starry sky warriors and sealed all the power of the origin, so that none of us can sense the power of the origin. Whether it is swallowing the power of the origin or comprehending the power of the origin, it is already a luxury. If you want to reach the starry sky realm, unless the heavenly law falls." Chapter 1632. Lu Ye's face also turned serious. It was not a secret that the heavenly law had killed all the starry sky warriors and sealed the origin power. If it were not for the heavenly law, there would be many times more starry sky warriors than 10,000 years ago. Without the origin power, everything was nonsense. The immemorial Qilin and Lu Yi had reached the peak of Nirvana realm. Of course, they hoped that they could go one step further and break through the starry sky realm. Lu Yi, since the marvelous mathematician thinks so highly of this kid, it seems that we will have to rely on him in the future. Lu Yi did not speak. The next big question was whether Longao could leave the life and death secret realm alive. At night, Longao sat alone in the courtyard. No one knew what he was thinking in his mind. At this moment, "Auntie, you are here?" Seeing Lu Ying coming in from outside, Longao did not dare to continue sitting. Longao did not dare to have the slightest carelessness towards his future mother-in-law. He respectfully bowed and said. She nodded appreciatively. "Longao, is Aoshue really okay?" Until now, Lu Ying was still a little worried because it was the first time she had seen Longao. She could not believe that Aoshue was really okay just because he said that Aoshue was okay. Since things had come to this point, Longao did not want to keep it a secret anymore. After thinking for a while, he decided to tell him everything about Aoshue. After that, Longao continued, "Auntie, I don't want anyone to know about this. It is not good for Aoshue. I hope you can keep it a secret for me."
Don't worry about this.
After hearing Longao's words, Lu Ying was also shocked, because she had never thought that the child in Aoshue's belly was a cultivation genius. It was also a freak. Before it was born, it had already started absorbing power. What would happen if it was born? Since Aoshue was fine, Lu Ying was more or less relieved. Lu Yi had already arranged for Aoshue to absorb power. She believed that it would wake up soon. "Longao, I heard that you're going to enter the life and death secret realm tomorrow." It was not a secret, so Longao did not hide it. He nodded and said, "Yes. For Aoshue? I want to be with Aoshue openly." He was somewhat gratified, but more than that, he was worried. As a member of the Phoenix race, Lu Ying naturally knew what life and death's secret realm represented. With Longao's strength, entering life and death's secret realm would be extremely dangerous. "Longao, I have a divine artifact here. Remember, no matter what happens, you must take it with you." Longao was very curious. He didn't know what kind of artifact his mother-in-law had given him. Lu Ying took out a feather from her bosom. It was multicolored and very beautiful. This is a divine item that our great ancestor had spent a lot of effort to make. It is called the rainbow feather. After you enter the life and death secret realm, if you run into any danger, this divine item can help you survive. "Auntie, if other people know about this, I'm afraid it won't be good." Longao was very clear that he was still an outsider to the Phoenix race. If other people knew, especially Lu Bo and Lu Ri, that Lu Ying had given him a divine item that was left behind by an ancient phoenix, it would definitely bring unnecessary trouble to Lu Ying. Longao knew that with his relationship with Aoshua, Lu Ying was not an outsider.
Don't worry about this.
You just need to be careful. As for the feather, when you leave the life and death secret realm, it will automatically disappear and return to my hands. Even if someone finds out about it, you don't have to admit it. I believe that no one will dare to question me. So that was it. It seemed that this mother-in-law of his had a high position in the Phoenix race. After sending Lu Ying off, Longao put away the feather and was about to take off his clothes and go to bed to prepare for tomorrow's life and death secret realm. However, a human figure suddenly descended from the sky. It was indeed the leader of the Phoenix race, Lu Yi, who was also a super powerful warrior who had undergone Nirvana rebirth. Senior, I wonder what brings you here so late at night. Longao was very curious. Tomorrow was the opening day of the life and death secret realm. If Lu Yi came at this time, wouldn't it become a topic of ridicule? As if she could see through Longao's thoughts, Lu Yi smiled and said, I heard that Longao was arrogant and didn't put anyone in your eyes. I didn't believe it at first, but after seeing you today, I can see that it's indeed true. I'm innocent. When did I not put anyone in my eyes? It was a blatant accusation. Without waiting for Longao to speak, Lu Yi continued, Longao, I came this time mainly because I want to ask you something. Senior, please speak. Longao became more and more curious, not knowing what Lu Yi wanted to ask him. During the Battle of the Sword Sect, the clairvoyant master suddenly appeared in the Sword Sect and sided with you in front of everyone. I really want to know, what is the relationship between you and the clairvoyant master? Why did he side with you so much? Who knows? Hearing Lu Ye's question, Longao said with a helpless expression, to be honest, I also don't know about this matter. It's just that I accidentally stepped into the external ocean and met the clairvoyant master once. As for why the clairvoyant master came to the sword sect and sided with me, I don't know. Looking at the young man in front of her, Lu Yi knew that Longao was not lying. The more so, the more curious Lu Yi was, because she really couldn't figure it out. Even if Longao's talent was better than others, the clairvoyant master wouldn't be like this. After all, the clairvoyant master's identity and strength were there. Not to mention Longao, even Lu Yi himself might not be like this. Longao, do you know about the origin energy?
I know.
If a Nirvana realm martial artist wants to go further, they need to devour or comprehend the origin energy. Longao didn't know what Lu Yi meant, so he didn't continue to speak. You're right. If it was 10,000 years ago, when the origin energy was sufficient, with my talent, I could completely comprehend the origin energy and reproduce it. But for some reason, all the origin energy on the continent disappeared. Now, not to mention comprehending the origin energy, even devouring the origin energy is a little unrealistic. Longao knew very well that the reason Lu Yi was talking about was because the Heavenly Tao had killed all the Starry Sky martial artists and sealed the origin energy. But since Lu Yi didn't want to say more, he didn't ask more. The two of them were well aware of the situation. Longao, although I don't dare to say that your talent won't be surpassed in the future, but it's definitely unprecedented. However, your strength is still very low. If you can break through to the Nirvana rebirth realm, you and I can join forces with the rest of the people and give it a try. If we can really succeed, it's fine even if it's a narrow escape. Chapter 1633. Hearing Lu Ye's words, Longao was shocked. Could it be that Lu Yi wanted to break the seal and forcibly release the origin energy? Or was Lu Yi preparing to break the seal and forcibly devour the origin energy? Longao knew very well that no matter what, as long as the seal was broken, the Heavenly Tao would definitely know. The Heavenly Tao was an 8th-level Starry Sky cultivator. In the entire Tianwu continent, who could be a match for the Heavenly Tao other than the godly mathematician? Senior, forgive me for being blunt.
Please speak.
The The heavenly Tao and the godly mathematician are now in seclusion. I believe they won't come out for 3 years. Lu Yi didn't speak, just listened quietly. Within 3 years, as long as all the Nirvana realm cultivators work together to break the seal, you can completely hide the origin energy. Even the heavenly Tao may not be able to find you. In the vast sea of people, it was easier said than done to find a trace of a person. In an instant, Lu Yi had already understood the meaning of Longao's words. Her expression was very unsightly, and she sighed deeply. Senior, is there a hidden story? Longao, do you really think that the heavenly Tao alone can kill all the starry sky cultivators and seal the origin energy? Was it not the heavenly Tao alone? Longao was not a fool, because in the Tianwu continent, the godly mathematician was the strongest besides the heavenly Tao. Could this have something to do with the godly mathematician? Your guess is right. Back then, if the godly mathematician hadn't incited and helped the heavenly Tao, how could the heavenly Tao alone have done it? Not to mention others, just the sealed Hei Mo in the draconic mystic realm is stronger than the heavenly Tao. He was shocked. After all, from beginning to end, Longao had never considered the possibility that Master God Diviner, other than the Tao of Heaven, had also been involved in the slaughter of all cultivators in the starry sky and the sealing of essence power. But now that he thought about it, he felt relieved. Without the godly mathematician's incitement and help, the heavenly Tao alone could not have done it. Senior, are you worried? Yes, although the godly mathematician and the heavenly Tao have been in seclusion for 3 years, no one knows whether they are in seclusion or not. If we break the seal and release the origin energy, once this matter is known to the two, the consequences can be imagined. There was only one result, and that was that everyone would die. In front of a starry sky cultivator, a Nirvana realm martial artist was just a joke, a big joke. Under the starry sky, all were ants. If that was the case, this matter would indeed be very troublesome. Senior, do you think it's realistic to count on me for something that none of you can do? He was depressed to the extreme. As the saying goes, there is always a mountain beyond the heavens. The experts in the sky martial continent were as numerous as the clouds. Longao knew his own limits. With his current strength, it would be difficult for him to deal with any random Nirvana realm martial artist. That was indeed the case. He really couldn't understand why Lu Yi wanted to find him. Did she really think that he was omnipotent? Longao, I received news that you have Jianling's primordial spirit in your body. Is that true? He was startled. Longao knew very well that the Wanshou sect must have spread the news to Lu Yi. Originally, he thought that the Wanshou sect would keep their mouths shut in order to steal Xilin's primordial spirit. After all, once the news got out, there would be an endless stream of people trying to steal it. He didn't expect that the Wanshou sect wanted to kill him with a borrowed knife. What a shameless Wanshou sect. What a shameless Wanshou ancestor. Fuck you. But what Longao couldn't figure out was, did the Wanshou sect ancestor choose to give up? It seemed a little unrealistic. Since that was the case, why would the Wanshou sect ancestor do this? There was no benefit to the Wanshou sect ancestor. Once Jianling's primordial spirit fell into the hands of others, it would be even more impossible for the Wanshou sect ancestor to obtain it. Looking at Lu Yi, who was close in front of him, Longao already understood the purpose of Lu Yi's visit. She wanted Xilin's primordial spirit. Longao, you've already guessed my intention. I will also get straight to the point. As long as you are willing to hand over Jianling's primordial spirit, I will do my best to facilitate the matter between you and Aoshua. Not only that, from now on, the Phoenix clan will be yours. No one would be able to resist such temptation. But it should be known that the Phoenix clan was one of the 3 supreme clans of the divine beasts. Its strength and foundation were there for all to see. If Longao could dominate the Phoenix clan, then it would be easy for him to enter the Tianwu continent and pursue the 10 tripod. But would Longao agree? There was no doubt about it. He shook his head and said with an extremely firm expression, Senior, to be honest, I do have Jianling's primordial spirit in my body. Lu Yi's eyes lit up. When she first received the news, Lu Yi didn't quite believe it. But since Longao said it himself, Lu Yi certainly didn't have the slightest doubt. If she could obtain Jianling's primordial spirit, breaking through to the starry sky realm would be just around the corner. For a Nirvana realm martial artist, the greatest temptation was a starry sky cultivator. Senior, no matter what, I will not give you Jianling's primordial spirit, even if I die. Why is that? Lu Yi was a little surprised, but not surprised, because Lu Yi had already guessed that Longao would do this. Otherwise, when Longao was in the Wanshou sect, he would have handed over Jianling's primordial spirit in order to save his life. Why wait until now to benefit her? But Lu Yi really wanted to know the reason why Longao would do this. Could it be that Longao also wanted to get his hands on Jianling's primordial spirit? In any case, the temptation of a starry sky cultivator was too great. Even she couldn't resist it, let alone Longao. Jianling's primordial spirit is my wife. Longao was not referring to Xiling, but Bai Ling, because Bai Ling was indeed his wife, and they had already consummated their marriage. Even if it wasn't for Bai Ling, he wouldn't have handed over Xiling. Longao knew very well that for so long, if it weren't for Xiling's help, he wouldn't be sitting here. Longao, in that case, I won't force you. However, the Wanshou sect has already leaked this matter to the world. I'm afraid you will have a lot of trouble in the future. Your current cultivation is only in the Divine Emperor realm. If you want to establish a foothold in the continent and protect your family, you must first raise your cultivation to the Nirvana realm. I understand. Thank you, Senior. Seeing that Lu Yi didn't force him, Longao breathed a sigh of relief. No matter what, this was the territory of the Phoenix clan. If they really fought, he would be the one to suffer in the end. What's more, because of Aoshua, he didn't want to fall out with Lu Yi unless it was a last resort. However, Longao still felt a little helpless that the Wanshou sect had leaked this matter. As Lu Yi had just said, now that this matter had been leaked, he would have a lot of trouble in the future. Moreover, they were all Nirvana realm cultivators. If he was careless, he would be doomed. Chapter 1634. What a despicable and shameless Wanshou sect. Borrowing someone else's knife to kill. Longao was almost certain that Wanshou sect wanted to borrow the power of the world to deal with him. Longao, the life and death secret realm, is the place where our ancestor cultivated in seclusion. Although it is extremely dangerous, there are endless opportunities. If you are lucky enough to obtain opportunities in the life and death secret realm, I believe that breaking through to the Nirvana realm will not be a problem. Nodding. After sending off Lu Yi, Longao sat quietly by himself. There were less than 8 months before he could find opportunities to break through to the Nirvana realm. If there was a chance to break through now, should he forcefully suppress it? According to Xiling, his realm was not stable. Even if he broke through to the Nirvana realm, there would only be disadvantages. Not only that, if he could suppress it for 8 months and completely stabilize the peak of the Emperor God realm, once he broke through to the Nirvana realm, there would be considerable benefits. In the distance, in the Phoenix Hall, seeing that Lu Yi had returned smoothly, the immemorial Qilin could not wait to ask, "How is it? Does Longao have Jianling's primordial spirit?" The starry sky Jianling's primordial spirit was the greatest temptation for warriors of their level. No matter who got it, they could smoothly break through to the next realm. Lu Yi shook her head helplessly. Just as the immemorial Qilin sank, Lu Yi suddenly said, "I can confirm that Longao does have the starry sky Jianling's primordial spirit." Surprise. The immemorial Qilin had an indescribable surprise and said, "You and I must not miss this opportunity. I will go find him later. As long as he is willing to hand over the Jianling's primordial spirit, I will not hesitate to pay any price." In front of the starry sky Jianling's primordial spirit, everything was nonsense. Shaking his head, "Brother Qilin, I advise you not to go."
Why?
The immemorial Qilin was very curious because they had waited for 10,000 years. It was not easy for them to wait for an opportunity. Would they choose to give it up? The power of origin had been sealed by the heavenly Tao. It was almost impossible to devour or comprehend the power of origin. One could not provoke the heavenly Tao. Apart from that, there was only one other way to advance to the starry sky realm, which was to devour the starry sky essence spirit. Back then, when the heavenly Tao killed all the starry skies cultivators, no one knew where these so-called starry skies life essence spirits ended up. Perhaps they had already been destroyed by the heavenly Tao. Everyone was very clear. Since the heavenly axiom had killed all the starry sky cultivators and sealed the origin power, it meant that it didn't want anyone to break through to the starry sky realm. If that was the case, why would the heavenly axiom cause trouble for him? The primordial spirit Jianling was their only chance. The primordial Qilin had already made up its mind. No matter what happened, it had to obtain this primordial spirit Jianling. Primordial soul Jianling is Longao's wife. With a simple sentence, the immemorial Qilin already knew what had happened. Longao was willing to create havoc for his female confidant. He was not afraid of death, so how could he easily hand over Jianling's primordial spirit? Would the immemorial Qilin give up? Brother Liu, you and I have worked hard for tens of thousands of years. Even if you feel guilty towards Aoshue and her daughter, you can't joke about this matter. Seeing that Lu Yi didn't speak and his expression kept changing, the immemorial Qilin secretly thought that there was a chance. Once we miss this opportunity and someone else gets it first, we won't even have the chance to regret it. Brother Liu, even if you and I don't do anything, do you think Longao can save Jianling's primordial spirit? Lu Yi gritted his teeth. You're right. As long as I can break through to the starry sky realm, I'll pay back what I owe Aoshue and her daughter. He was overjoyed. Qilin, no matter what happens, we have to give Longao a way out, even if it's for Aoshue. No problem. As long as it could obtain the starry sky primordial spirit Jianling, the immemorial Qilin could give up anything, not to mention not killing Longao. For the immemorial Qilin, Longao's life was not important at all. Brother Liu, shall we do it now? Waving his hand, Lu Yi said, tomorrow, Longao will enter the life and death secret realm. At that time, we'll do it in the secret realm. This way, no one will know. You want to trap Longao in the life and death secret realm forever? The immemorial Qilin was a bit surprised, because if that was the case, then even if it didn't kill Longao would suffer a fate worse than death. The immemorial Qilin was very wary of Lu Yi because he was too cunning. A moment ago, he was still wavering, but now he was so ruthless. If we don't seal Longao in the life and death secret realm, this matter will definitely be leaked. At that time, even if you and I obtain the starry sky Jianling's primordial spirit, what can we do? Let's not talk about other people first. Once the heavenly Tao and the clairvoyant know about this, do you think they'll let us go? Let's do as you say. Thinking of the heavenly Tao and the clairvoyant's terrifying strength, the immemorial Qilin couldn't help but shiver. This matter could not be leaked. Otherwise, not to mention using the Jianling's primordial spirit to break through to the starry sky realm, it was unknown whether they could survive. Tianwu continent. The Wanshou sect had already spread the news that Longao possessed the peak martial path Jianling's primordial spirit. It could be said that in the current Tianwu continent, there was no one who didn't know that Longao possessed the peak martial path Jianling's primordial spirit. Those below Nirvana realm might not feel much because for them, Nirvana realm was already the peak of the martial path. As for the true peak of the martial path, that is, the starry sky realm, there was no difference. However, for Nirvana realm experts, the peak of the martial path was a different concept. If they could devour the peak martial path Jianling's primordial spirit, then there was a 99% chance that they could break through to the peak of the martial path. That kind of temptation was a huge temptation to every peak martial path expert. The Nirvana realm experts who received the news didn't even care about fighting. For them, this was an opportunity, especially when the clairvoyant and the heavenly Tao were in seclusion for 3 years. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. If they missed it, they would regret it endlessly. It was because of this that all the Nirvana realm experts began to search for Longao's traces. As the saying went, there was no wall in the world that didn't have a crack. After many inquiries, the news that Longao was in the Phoenix race spread. Normally, even Nirvana realm experts wouldn't dare to casually enter the Phoenix race. That was because the Phoenix race was one of the 3 supreme races of the divine beasts. Their strength was not to be underestimated. But now, the situation was completely different. The primordial spirit sword spirit in Longao's hand was too tempting, especially to the Nirvana realm martial artists. Therefore, after all the Nirvana realm martial artists heard the news, they all stood up and left, rushing towards one of the 3 supreme divine beasts, the Phoenix clan. Chapter 1635. The Thousand Beasts Sect. Ever since Longao caused havoc in the Thousand Beasts Sect, the sect's reputation seemed to have hit rock bottom. If one were to ask who the Wansho sect hated the most right now, it would undoubtedly be Longao. Inside the Thousand Beasts Hall, the Thousand Beasts ancestor looked terrible. He didn't want to leak this information. As long as he could capture Longao, the Starry Sky Jianling would be his. Once he got the Starry Sky Jianling, he would definitely break through to the Starry Sky realm. But the result? After so long, they still couldn't find Longao, let alone trap Longao. The Thousand Beasts ancestor knew very well that if this continued, not only would they not get the Jianling's essence spirit, but Longao would also devour Jianling's essence spirit. Once Longao devoured Jianling's essence spirit, he would break through to the Starry Sky realm in a few decades. Who in the Thousand Beasts sect would be able to resist Longao then? If they didn't remove the roots, there would be endless trouble. After thinking about it, in the end, the Thousand Beasts ancestor decided to kill with a borrowed knife. He hoped that when Longao died, Jianling's essence spirit would also disappear. Taking 10,000 steps back, even if Jianling's essence spirit fell into the hands of others, there would at least be countless people besieging it. The final result would be that whoever got the Jianling's essence spirit would die. If that was the case, it would be an opportunity for the Thousand Beasts sect. Watching the fire from the other side, and waiting until both sides were injured, the Thousand Beasts sect would be able to reap the benefits. Ancestor, we've just received confirmation that Longao is in the Phoenix clan. He seemed a little surprised. The Thousand Beasts ancestor didn't expect Longao to be in the Phoenix clan. Could it be that Longao had a relationship with the Phoenix clan? With a sneer, the Thousand Beasts ancestor said confidently, "If Lu Yi knows that Longao has the Starry Sky Jianling's essence spirit, I can say that even Lu Yi can't resist such temptation." Ancestor, are we really going to give up? Grab what you need to grab, and give up when you need to. Don't be so wishy-washy. Although Shi Feng and Shi Chong disagreed with Shi Feng's decision, they did not say anything. In the Myriad Beasts sect, no one dared to go against the Myriad Beasts ancestor's words. Although we won't touch Jianling's primordial spirit anymore, we still have to watch the show. The 3 of you come with me. Yes, ancestor. With all the Nirvana realm cultivators of the Myriad Beasts sect heading to the Phoenix clan, apart from the rogue Nirvana realm cultivators, perhaps 85% of the Nirvana realm cultivators in the Tianwu continent had headed to the Phoenix clan. What kind of concept was that? Such a grand occasion had not been seen even once in 10,000 years. The total number of Nirvana realm martial artists heading to the Phoenix clan this time was more than 120. Including the Nirvana realm martial artists from other forces, the Nirvana realm martial artists from rogue cultivators, and the 3 Nirvana realm martial artists from the Dragon Sect branch, there were a total of 150 Nirvana realm martial artists rushing towards the Phoenix clan. A total of 150 Nirvana realm warriors. The news of 150 Nirvanas rushing to the Phoenix clan had already spread throughout the entire Sky Martial continent. The entire Sky Martial continent was shocked. Because to be able to attract 150 Nirvana realm martial artists, it was only a small God Emperor realm martial artist, and this person was none other than Longao, who had caused havoc in the sword sect back then. Longao's name had already spread throughout the world. But now Longao's name had once again spread throughout the world. Everyone was for Longao. Under the attack of 150 Nirvana realm martial artists, would Longao be able to escape unscathed? Lu Li, Yun Luoshan, and Yun Feng were also rushing towards the Phoenix clan. The three of them chose to submit to Longao. Even though Longao had already attracted more than 140 Nirvana realm martial artists, the three of them did not choose to give up. Lu Li, you're saying that you already know that Master has the martial Dao Peak inheritance? Hearing Lu Li's words, both Yun Luoshan and Yun Feng were greatly shocked. The two of you, if we follow Master, we will definitely be able to pass down our legacy for hundreds of generations. Since things had already reached this stage, what choice did the two of them have? Lu Li, with our strength, we won't be able to help Master when the time comes. Why don't we do it secretly? Maybe we can help Master. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Phoenix Peak. Longao knew nothing about what was happening outside. Although he was very clear that once the news of him possessing Jianling's Yuan spirit spread out, it would definitely attract the attention of experts from all over the world. But that was a matter for the future. At the very least, he would have to come out of the life and death secret realm first. If Longao knew that 150 Nirvana realm martial artists had already rushed to the Phoenix clan for him, who knew what Longao would think? The next morning, Longao had already followed Lu Yi to the back mountain of the Phoenix Peak, outside a huge valley. The life and death secret realm had already opened. When Longao arrived, Lu Ri, Lu Wuheng, and the rest had already entered. In this way, even if Longao was a fool, he would be able to see that something was amiss. Longao, I hope you can come out alive. Looking at Lu Bo in front of him, Longao sneered in his heart. He had already guessed that once he entered the life and death secret realm, Lu Bo would not easily give up on him. However, since things had already reached the stage, he would not back down. Senior, I'm going in. Be careful. Lu Ye's face was expressionless, but he was sneering in his heart. He and the immemorial Qilin had already decided that as long as Longao entered the life and death secret realm, everything would be under his control. At that time, as long as he could obtain Jianling's Yuan spirit, Longao would stay in the life and death secret realm forever. Lu Yi had already received the news that 150 Nirvana realm martial artists had already rushed over. If he was discovered by these Nirvana realm martial artists, it would be very difficult for him to obtain Jianling's Yuan spirit. No matter what happened, he had to deal with Longao before the 150 Nirvana realm martial artists arrived. Seeing that Longao had already entered the life and death secret realm, Lu Bo said, Patriarch, I really don't understand why we have to help Longao. If this matter were to spread out, I'm afraid our Phoenix race would become the laughingstock of the world. Phoenix race, as one of the three supreme races of divine beasts, had never had such a thing happen before. Even with Lu Ying and Ao Tian, the Phoenix race did not have the slightest tolerance. Because of this, Lu Bo really could not understand why the Patriarch would choose to compromise this time. Could it be that he really valued Longao's talent? With a smile, Lu Yi suddenly said, First Elder, what you said just now is very right. Such a thing cannot be allowed to happen.
What?
What did the Patriarch mean? Before Lu Bo could react, Lu Yi had already continued. This time, Longao has entered the life and death secret realm. No matter what you do, don't let him come out. Send 4 Nirvana realm martial artists in. Remember, don't kill him, just seal him. Chapter 1636. Lu Bo was curious. Leader, why do we need to do this? We just need to seal the secret realm. I believe Longao won't be able to break the seal. Lu Bo was very confident about this. This time, I want nothing to go wrong. Before Lu Yi could finish, immemorial Qilin's figure appeared. Brother Qilin, what are you here for? Brother Lu, I think it's better for you and me to enter the secret realm. This way, nothing will go wrong.
Ah?
Lu Bo couldn't figure out why immemorial Qilin would suddenly appear here. Could it be that the leader wanted to team up with immemorial Qilin to deal with Longao? After thinking for a while, Lu Yi nodded. Inside the secret realm, Longao stepped into the secret realm and found that it was almost the same as the outside world. There were sky, earth, trees, grass, and even spirit and divine beasts.
Kill.
Only 2 people had entered the secret realm this time, Lu Wuheng and Lu Ri. Longao was curious why only 2 people had entered the secret realm. According to Lu Yi, Lu Bo should have at least 10 people besides Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng in order to deal with him. Was there something fishy going on? Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng were both peak god emperor warriors. They had just stepped into the secret realm and hadn't even stabilized themselves. With a stride, their bodies had already shot out. The 2 attacked from the left and right. They didn't dare to be careless. Under normal circumstances, Longao wouldn't be afraid of god emperor warriors. However, Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng were different. They were both phoenixes and their strength was already very strong. As expected, the 2 seemed to know that Longao's situation was a bit special. Even if they didn't put Longao in their eyes, they didn't dare to be careless. Otherwise, they wouldn't have transformed into their true forms. Phoenix cries rang out. Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng transformed into their true forms, and 2 huge phoenixes appeared in the void. 1 against 2. Longao waved the reincarnation sword in his hand, and rays of reincarnation sword light shot out. Ha ha ha, Longao, I want to see if you are as powerful as the legends say.
He was a little surprised.
Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng's phoenix true form, one spat out fire, the other spat out profound ice. The 2 heavens of ice and fire actually forcefully merged together. Ice and fire were irreconcilable. They were originally 2 completely opposing forces, but now they were actually fusing together. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would have found it hard to believe.
Boom.
The power of ice and fire quickly spread. Longao retreated again and again. If it weren't for his teleportation ability, he would have been covered by the power of ice and fire. The consequences would have been unimaginable. If it was just a single power of fire or a single power of profound ice, Longao would definitely not be afraid. The power of the fusion of ice and fire was not as simple as 1 + 1. The 2 of them were too fast. Longao was almost engulfed by the power of ice and fire even with the help of spatial teleportation. Going on like this was not a solution. How should he deal with this? The reincarnation sword light was actually unable to break through the power of ice and fire. This was also why Longao was shocked. Not daring to be careless, Longao directly used sorrow of heaven and earth. With himself as the center, the vortex of air started to spin rapidly. In a short while, the vortex of air started to spin faster and faster. He had to admit that sorrow of heaven and earth was very powerful. The power of ice and fire was sucked into the vortex of air. In addition, Longao's air shield was destroyed. No matter how many came, it would all be destroyed. Even so, if this continued, he would definitely lose. As expected of the Phoenix clan, Longao was almost certain that Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng coming to deal with him was completely premeditated. Otherwise, how could the power of ice and fire be able to fuse together? He cursed in his heart. Longao cursed the 18 generations of ancestors of Lu Bo and the others. Looking at Longao, who had been enveloped by the vortex of air, Lu Wuheng and Lu Ri looked at each other. They saw a trace of surprise in each other's eyes, but more importantly, they were depressed. In their opinion, as long as they joined forces, the power of ice and fire released would definitely be able to burn Longao to death. The result? In just a few minutes, Longao was able to withstand it. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it hard to believe. The patriarch and the great elder had once said that if the 2 of them were to fight alone, they would probably encounter someone stronger than them. However, once the two of them joined forces, the power of ice and fire would fuse together. Under Nirvana, they would be invincible. Longao was indeed powerful. You and I must kill him in one blow. The two of them simply fused the power of ice and fire. They hadn't used their ultimate move yet. The two of them were full of confidence. As long as they released their ultimate move, even if Longao had 3 heads and 6 arms, he wouldn't be able to withstand their joint attack. However, at this moment, in the vortex of air, Longao had already disappeared. The two of them were a little dumbfounded because they never thought that Longao could disappear under their eyes.
Chase.
Of course, the two of them wouldn't give up because Longao was too much of a threat to them. Now that the Patriarch supported Longao, whether the two of them would be able to obtain Aoshua was still unknown. Just as the two of them chased, Longao's figure appeared out of thin air. This time, Longao didn't leave, but directly entered the Dragon Seal space. Longao had full confidence in the power of the Dragon Seal. Not to mention the two of them, even if a Nirvana Realm martial artist was here, even a Nirvana Realm martial artist might not be able to break the seal of the Dragon Seal and enter the Dragon Seal space. Giving them a taste of their own medicine, Longao wasn't someone easy to deal with. For a long time, Longao had always had a principle, and that was if people didn't offend him, he wouldn't offend them. If people wanted to offend him, he would definitely offend them. Since Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng wanted his life, then he wouldn't be polite. It was still the same sentence: the greatest kindness to the enemy was the greatest cruelty to oneself. This kind of thing, Longao would definitely not happen to himself. Instead of chasing, Longao directly chased after them. As for Immemorial Qilin, Lu Yi, and the others, they were about to enter, but they helplessly found that more than 150 Nirvana Realm martial artists had all arrived. He had to think of a way to deal with this matter, otherwise, it would be a devastating blow to the Phoenix race. Otherwise, once Immemorial Qilin, Lu Yi, and the others entered the Life and Death Secret Realm, it would be really troublesome. Life and Death Secret Realm itself was an independent space. In the past, the Immemorial Phoenix had spent hundreds of years to construct a Life and Death Secret Realm. It was also because of this Life and Death Secret Realm that the Immemorial Phoenix wanted to use to break through to the Starry Sky Realm. However, in the end, not only did it fail to break through to the Starry Sky Realm, but it also died in the Life and Death Secret Realm. Chapter 1637. Phoenix Peak. The surroundings were filled with Nirvana Realm martial artists. Looking over, there were at least 100 of them. If this were any other time, would it be possible to gather 100 Nirvana Realm martial artists at the same time? It was almost impossible. Brother Liu, there are a total of 150 Nirvana Realm martial artists outside. If we were to enter the Life and Death Secret Realm now, we might be taken advantage of by them. Lui nodded. Lui's face was dark as well. He knew clearly that if this matter was not resolved properly, the entire Phoenix race would be in trouble. Out of the 150 Nirvana Realm martial artists, there were a total of 11 Nirvana Realm martial artists, including Old Master One Beasts and Xingkuan. Within the Life and Death Secret Realm, Longao was chasing after the two of them. From the beginning till the end, neither of them knew that the target they were searching for was right behind them. Boom, boom, boom. Just then, suddenly, the sound of thunder resounded between heaven and earth. Dark clouds gathered in the void of the 9 heavens as huge thunderclouds gathered. Lubo had full control over the Life and Death Secret Realm. With that, Longao's danger had increased tremendously. I've been locked in. Longao was very shocked because he realized one thing, and that was that he had already been locked onto by the thunderclouds of the 9th heaven. Once he moved, he would probably die. Longao, let's see how you're going to leave the Life and Death Secret Realm.
Kill.
Longao did not hold back at all. Even though he was locked in and could not move, his reincarnation body was not. In the next second, the reincarnation body dashed out. Ignoring the battle, Longao had full confidence in his reincarnation body. Even if it was 1 against 2, the reincarnation body could kill both of them. As for the power of ice and fire, would the reincarnation body care? Crack. Before Longao could react, a bolt of lightning suddenly shot out from the space. It was as thick as a tree trunk.
Huh.
Longao was a bit dumbfounded because he had never thought that the lightning would not come from the sky, but from the surrounding space.
It was truly impossible to guard against.
The power of lightning struck Longao squarely, causing him to fall to the ground. If it weren't for the fact that his body's defense had reached a terrifying level, Longao would have died by now. What a terrifying power of lightning! Longao's face was slightly pale as he forcefully blocked the attack. If Lu Bo knew about this, who knew what Lu Bo would think? It was unbelievable and unimaginable. Before Longao could regain his footing, the sound of thunder grew louder and louder. Boom, 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 boom. Suddenly, countless bolts of lightning shot out from the surrounding space. The density of the bolts was terrifying. His scalp felt a little numb. Holding the reincarnation sword in his hand, Longao used the reincarnation sword skill, and beams of reincarnation sword light shot out. Longao's body began to spin. Gradually, the reincarnation sword light began to form a sword light chi shield. The reincarnation sword light that could break through the forbidden power could also block the lightning attacks. He had to think of a way. The power of lightning had the ability to lock down space. Not only could Longao not teleport, he could not even enter the dragon seal space. A person's physical strength was limited. Even if the reincarnation sword light could temporarily block the lightning attacks, it was still not a solution. Once Longao's physical strength was exhausted, he would be devoured by the lightning. Finally, without a choice, Longao could only try to activate the reincarnation heavenly eye. Although he knew that the reincarnation heavenly eye was definitely not ordinary, Longao would not use it under normal circumstances. Suddenly, a third eye appeared on Longao's forehead. A black light shot out and collided with the power of lightning. The power of lightning was directly devoured by the reincarnation heavenly eye. Seeing this situation, Longao was overjoyed. It seemed that the reincarnation heavenly eye could destroy the power of lightning. If that was the case, everything would be much easier. Longao's reincarnation heavenly eye was derived from the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. Like teleportation, it belonged to the 9 revolutions reincarnation technique. However, the power of the reincarnation heavenly eye was above teleportation. I can actually move. Under the cover of the reincarnation heavenly eye, Longao found that his body that was locked by the lightning was actually able to move at this time. He was overjoyed. Not daring to have the slightest hesitation, Longao immediately took a step forward and left the lock of the lightning at the fastest speed. It took him a full 3 minutes to leave the lightning and get rid of the lock of the lightning. The thunderclouds disappeared, and the sky was clear as if nothing had happened just now. All of a sudden, looking at the 2 corpses on the ground in front of him, Longao was a little shocked. Because he never thought that the reincarnation clone could successfully kill Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng in such a short time. This speed was a little too shocking. Nirvana realm? Sensing the aura of the reincarnation clone, Longao was extremely shocked. Because the reincarnation clone was only at the peak God Emperor realm, just now, the same level as him. Why did the reincarnation clone smoothly break through the peak God Emperor realm and reach the Nirvana realm in just 3 minutes? Although it was only the first of the 5 Nirvana realms, which was to comprehend the heaven and earth. What exactly happened? Even Longao was a little confused at this time because the reincarnation clone's cultivation had broken through too quickly. It happened in an instant. A purple figure appeared. It was Xiling. Longao, what's the origin of your clone? It's simply unbelievable. Originally, Longao didn't want to tell Xiling about the Longao's matter. However, at this time, he didn't continue to hide it and roughly told him everything. So that's how it is. According to my guess, if nothing goes wrong, your reincarnation avatar was able to break through from the peak God Emperor realm to the Nirvana realm in just a few minutes. Otherwise, unless your cultivation can break through to the Nirvana realm, I'm afraid your reincarnation avatar won't be able to do so by itself. I see. Of course, Longao wouldn't doubt Xiling's words. However, he didn't expect that Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng, who had entered the life and death secret realm to kill him, would end up losing the rice used to lure him. Instead, they were killed by the reincarnation clone. Not only that, he should also thank the two. Because with the reincarnation clone's cultivation base breaking through, Longao was full of confidence. With his current strength, not to mention comprehending the heaven and earth, even warriors who are one with the world wouldn't be able to escape from his hands once he joined the reincarnation clone. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't excited. However, under such circumstances, Longao really couldn't feel excited. Although he had already dodged the lightning attack, who knew what dangers were waiting for him? Chapter 1638. Longao, I had hoped that you could stabilize for 8 months and then break through to Nirvana realm. But now, what did he mean? Longao did not know what Xiling meant. Longao, now that my identity has been exposed, there will be endless troubles after you leave the life and death secret realm. I'll deal with whatever comes my way. Longao immediately understood Xiling's concern. He was not worried at all, because he knew that what would come in the end. Anyway, it was simple. No matter what happened, he would not hand over Xiling. Longao, with your current strength, even with the help of your doppelganger, you can at most fight against the union of heaven and man. Even with the help of the formation, it will not be easy to kill Zhou Tianfengliu. He nodded in agreement. Even so, what could he do? Until now, Longao still did not know what Xiling wanted to say. Longao, I've just discussed with Longfu to shorten the time you need to stabilize your realm. He was overjoyed. Longao finally understood Xiling's meaning. It seemed that he had forgotten to break through to Nirvana realm. The Emperor God realm still had the power of the God realm. To break through to Nirvana realm, one must first comprehend the heaven and earth. It sounded simple, but it was actually extremely difficult. What should I do? We don't have any good ideas to shorten the time needed to stabilize your realm. But you should break through to Nirvana realm first. We'll talk about it when the time comes. Longao knew what Xiling meant. If he really did that, then even if he broke through to Nirvana realm, it would be even more difficult for him to continue to improve.
Let me think about it.
The reincarnation doppelganger's cultivation had already broken through. Even under such circumstances, it did not matter if he broke through to Nirvana realm or not. The reason was simple. In Longao's opinion, even if his cultivation base could break through to Nirvana realm, he could only kill the union of heaven and man by joining forces with the reincarnation doppelganger. It was not realistic to deal with Zhou Tianfengliu. Since that was the case, he might as well stabilize his cultivation first. There was no rush. Xiling did not say anything else because she could sense what Longao was thinking. Whether or not he made a breakthrough was up to Longao, not her. After successfully killing Lu Ri and Lu Wuheng, Longao didn't hesitate anymore. According to Lu Yi, he had to stay in the life and death secret realm for 3 days. If he did not die within these 3 days, he would be able to leave the secret realm. 3 days. Even now, Longao's heart still palpitated from the lightning attack just now. In the life and death secret realm, there was only a slim chance of survival. Thinking up to this point, Longao cautiously raised his spirits and continued forward. Longao knew that as long as he stayed here or in the Dragon Seal space, 3 days would pass in the blink of an eye. However, Longao did not do so. Since he had already entered the life and death secret realm, even if he encountered any danger, it would not be able to stop him. tsk, tisk, what's that sound? Right at this time, Longao suddenly heard a series of hissing sounds coming from all directions. Looking around, he did not find anything wrong. He was curious. Could he have heard wrongly? That shouldn't be. Longao did not believe that he had heard wrongly. Tsk, 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 tsk. The sound was getting closer and closer, but he still couldn't make out anything. The more it was like this, the more uncertain Longao felt. Watch out. Hearing Xiling's voice, Longao was shocked. However, it was still too late. His entire body flew out like a kite with a broken string and landed heavily on the ground. Shocked, Longao did not dare to hesitate. With a flip, he stood up steadily. He had to admit that Longao's physical defense was really strong. If it were any other god emperor, they would have died long ago after receiving such a fierce attack. Just as Longao stood up, he was attacked once more. What in the world is this? Longao cursed. Even now, he could not make out anything. He did not know what was attacking him. However, Longao was sure of one thing. The thing that was attacking him was definitely a legendary beast. Master, this is a shadow snake. Even though its strength isn't all that great, it can blend into the air and catch people off guard. Shadow snake? To think that there would be such a legendary beast in this world. If he had not seen it with his own eyes, he would not have believed it. If anyone else were to meet such a legendary beast, they would have been helpless. Only Longao was different. Because Longao had the space mystic skill, it was more than enough to deal with the shadow snake. Mysterious things were the scariest. Now that the other party's identity had been revealed, there was nothing to be afraid of. Innate mystic skill, Dragon's Roar. At the same time, Longao used his time Shurkill skill. Under the dual attack of space and time, the surrounding shadow snakes appeared. At a glance, even Longao was shocked. There were hundreds of shadow snakes all around. Every single one of them was a legendary beast. If not for his innate mystic skill and time Shurkill skill, he would have been killed by the shadow snakes. Just thinking about it made him feel a little scared. Longao did not care about the legendary beast shadow snakes. Under the dual attack of space and time, Longao used both his fists. One punch for one shadow snake. In just a few minutes, hundreds of shadow snakes were dead. This is bad. After killing the last shadow snake, Longao saw blood explode from the shadow snake. It was not self-destruction, but a call for help. Could there be more shadow snakes? Sure enough, it wasn't an endless stream of shadow snakes. There was only one shadow snake.
It was incomparably huge.
It was 2 meters long. Its entire body was pure black. It stuck out its tongue. Its 2 ice-cold eyes were firmly staring at Longao. Peak Divine Emperor. Longao's complexion was somewhat solemn because the shadow snake that suddenly appeared in front of him was not invisible. It was a genuine supreme divine beast. If he was unable to make it appear, then the one who would suffer in the end would be him. Without a doubt, this shadow snake should be the leader of the shadow snake army. Before Longao could attack, the shadow snake in front of him suddenly disappeared. After experiencing what just happened, Longao was not surprised at all. He continued to use his innate mystic skill, Dragon Roar, and time Shurkill skill. Longao originally thought that he could make the shadow snake appear with his innate mystic skill and time Shurkill skill. The result was that when the shadow snake did not appear, his attacks were traceless. He could not find any trace of a shadow snake. In this way, Longao was in a very passive position. He was immediately at a disadvantage. Not daring to be careless, he punched out with both fists. The fist shadows formed a shield in an attempt to block the shadow snake's attack. You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.